Wake up to today's quest.
Wake up.
All the news and information you need in one go. Get started with the best of sports, lifestyle, analysis, and Annie.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Can you feel it? Wake up to today's quest with Annie on Today 95.1 FM from 6 to 11 a.m. weekdays. Fantastic.
All right, let's get this started real quickly. We'll start with the Vanguard newspaper. And in the Vanguard newspaper, we have a couple of stories here. We have Atiku praise for Abba Kyari after reportedly testing positive for coronavirus. And we also have CJN orders court's closure from Tuesday over coronavirus. And then we also have in the Vanguard newspaper this morning, NCDC confirms 2 new cases of coronavirus, one in Lagos, one in Osun. And then Zamfara PDP urges Supreme Court to dismiss APC's applications. Those are some of the stories you'll find in the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Osibajo begins social distances and self-isolation. Osibajo begins social distancing and self-isolation. Well, I've been hearing a lot of where is the VP? Well, maybe he's practicing self-isolation. We'll find out that story properly in all it is in that story much later. And then we also have in the Vanguard newspaper this morning a story here with the caption, Indibo, other ethnic nationality leaders preach unity, equity and fairness. Indibo, other ethnic nationality leaders preach unity, equity and fairness. And Buhari expresses grief over killing of 47 Boko Haram. Buhari expresses grief over killing of 47 by Boko Haram. All right, let's get to the stories real proper now. Quickly. I think I'll start with Buhari expresses grief over the killing of 47 by Boko Haram. It says here that President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed profound grief and sorrow over the loss of soldiers who were ambushed by terrorists in Goji village, Borno State. About 47 soldiers, according to military authorities, lost their lives as a result of the ambush. The president, in a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, last night said, sacrifices of our gallant patriots cannot be quantified, and their sacrifices cannot go in vain, while commiserating with their families and those that sustained injuries. According to the statement, the death of every soldier causes deep pains because he knows what it means to be a soldier and fully understands the extreme risks associated with the profession. President Buhari said, despite the tragedies and incidents, we cannot allow anarchists and mass murderers to hold the country hostage. He appealed to the military not to allow the incident to affect their morale, assuring that his administration will continue to motivate, equip them adequately in order to cope with the complex challenges of unconventional warfare. The statement said that the Nigerian army had dispatched a team to assess the situation and report back to the government. I've got Fine Face Dum, the men of Fine Face here with me. Fine Face, good morning. Good to see you. I see you're taking extreme precautions.
Yeah, good morning, Annie. Good morning, Rivers people. Thank you for joining us.
So, this is what's happened. 47 soldiers died in Koji in Borno State. And the president says we can't allow anarchists and mass murderers to hold the nation to ransom. And he says that he commiserates with the families that lost their loved ones. And he understands what it is like because he was a soldier. And for people who have chosen that profession, this is a very, very, very close possibility that you lose your life while at work.
Exactly. It's part of what you signed joining the army. But the president should be tired of sending condolence messages. Not that casualties like this wouldn't happen in a state of war. But what precautionary measures are being taken when you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 incidences of soldiers being ambushed? I think that what is making our soldiers die in this number is because certain persons, certain places within the hierarchy of the army that are supposed to take certain steps are not taking them. They are trying to save costs, not wanting to spend more money. That is why you have this kind of thing happen. We do not have as thick forest in Borno State as we have in the Niger Delta. So when you talk about ambush, it means that certain persons hide within certain bushes to wait for the soldiers and kill them. If we do not have that much thick forest, why is it
It
that?
might not be forest. It might be hills and valleys.
Exactly,
really.
that is what I'm
because
saying.
you can also
I'm
ambush on
driving,
hills and
I'm
valleys.
driving there.
All right.
If we have those kind of situation, that is why I said they are trying to save costs. That is why you have our soldiers dying in this number. The military has helicopters. While we have the ground troop moving, there must be an advanced trip going in helicopter up there, surveying the area and communicating with the ground team. That situation will help us to understand when we have this kind of ambush. Ambush is not 1, 2, 3, or 5 persons. They must be more than 5. So when you see a cluster of people in an area, you should be able to allow the people on ground to stop. That this you are seeing some people on ground you do not understand, and then you begin to take steps to curtail that. But what we are having now is not a very good scenario, and I think I commensurate with the families of those who have lost their lives, and the government must try all they can to reduce casualties on the part of the army.
All right. Emmanuel Ndukwe, good morning. Good to have your thoughts here.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Nigeria. Well, I think even though a lot of similar cases happen, there will always be expression of condolence. And so that's what the president is doing. However, I am worried. I listened to either the theater commander or whoever they call him yesterday night. He said it wasn't the handiwork of Boko Haram, that they carried some explosives and all that, and there was something that happened, is that a form of accident or whatever, and then the explosion occurred. In fact, he removed it completely from Boko Haram. But it looks like I'm hearing Boko Haram now as the architect of this. Whatever be the case, I think the military should speak with one voice.
All right, let me just bring you up to date. For those who don't understand what happened, the Nigerian military has confirmed the attack on troops that led to the death of many soldiers in Kogi, a village in Yobe State. The military delayed comment on the attack until Premium Times and other newspapers published reports about it. Premium Times reported that about 50 soldiers lost their lives after Boko Haram staged a deadly ambush on a moving convoy of troops around Algarno in Yobe State. Confirming the development at a press briefing, coordinator of Directorate of Defense Media Operations, John Eneche, blamed the massacre of soldiers on locals around the area. He said the locals leaked intelligence on the movement of troops to the Boko Haram. Mr. Eneche, a major general, said the slain troops were on their way back from Algarno after a successive military operation when suspected local informants allegedly linked movement of Nigerian troops to Boko Haram. The general statement at the press conference was circulated by PR Nigeria, a public relations firm close to the Nigerian security agencies. Mr. Eneche said the terrorists used the information provided by their local collaborators to stage an ambush and shot at military logistics trucks conveying fuel and ammunition. He said the attack on the truck caused massive explosions that led to the death of 47 gallant troops of the Nigerian military. Mr. Eneche said the troops of Operation Lafia Dole were on clearance and fighting patrol of Kogi between 21st and 23rd of March, which was successfully done. However, during the consolidation operation, they were ambushed by elements of Boko Haram terrorists. Sadly, the Nigerian military suffered some casualties at this unfortunate attack. So this is what the Nigerian military is putting out now, okay? And for me, the president sending his condolences is one too many.
Yes.
I think he's been sending condolences ever since I remember him coming into office. And it's 6 years past, he's sending condolences. And it's not that, every now and then there's a condolence, yes, we can understand. But the condolences are just as frequent as they used to be. And we're beginning to wonder what's going on. And for me particularly, the fact that the president himself doesn't say these things. I would like to see he should interrupt proceedings. He should stop anything and ask for television or cameras and then address the people directly. This is where I have a problem. I mean that you send these messages through your aides time after time after time.
Well, I'm very happy he must have heard. And so he will do it differently this time.
The president himself only gets to hear the same way you and I get to hear that has happened. This information don't even get to him. They trap it at that level and they send condolences on behalf of the president. And he only gets to hear if he listens to radio or reads the paper.
Fireface, what you're saying now here is rather shocking. You're saying the president has no form of awareness of what's going on, and nobody reports to him exactly what's going on per time.
Look, let me tell you.
This is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that the information comes. Remember, it doesn't go straight to the president's table. It passes through certain persons. And one of those that the information must pass through is, basically the information, the mouthpiece of the president. And when it happens, the president gets to know, and the next thing he
So
hears
wait, hold on. You're saying they don't communicate. Once they get it, they don't meet the president and said, well, as of 2 hours ago, we have information that 47 people were killed in Kogi.
he may have that on his table.
And he won't read it.
But I don't see it saying that, Mr. Femi Adesina, go and commensurate with the people on this. He knows what to do. And again, Obasanjo told us at some point in this country that he spends time almost every night reading memos from all the 774 AGs in the country. We have not heard that from the president.
We'll address that much later. Let's just move on. We'll address it later, Emmanuel. We'll address it later. Well, just in, NCDC confirms 2 cases of coronavirus, one in Lagos, one in Osun. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control has confirmed early Wednesday 2 new coronavirus in Lagos and Osun states. Both cases, according to a tweet from NCDC, are returning travelers to Nigeria in the last 7 days. As at 7 a.m. on the 25th of March, there were 46 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. 2 have been discharged with 1 death. 2 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Nigeria. And for the breakdown of cases by states in real time, please see, go to cdc19.ncdc.gov.ng and you get an up-to-date of it. Currently, Lagos has 30, FCT has 8, Ekiti has 3, Oyo 1, Edo 1, Bauchi 1, Osun 1, and total cases confirmed so far 46 by NCDC. But we're still recording new cases as it is. And they say then these are coming from travelers, Nigerians who are coming back most likely, or residents who are coming back to Nigeria. So we will continue to see this. But somebody was saying, there is underreporting, meaning there are plenty of people who may have coronavirus and have not presented themselves for testing, and that there's still so many who are waiting for results from testing because of the process the testing takes, the time it takes. So we might not have real-time figures. What we might just have is, what is obtainable at the moment. Emmanuel?
I think it's very correct because you know that in the character of Nigerians, even when they say self-isolate, and if you isolate yourself and then you get you also certify yourself that you have the disease. Some may not even, they may avoid the cameras and all that, nobody will report. But like you said, the duration for the test to come out and then tell exactly the real picture is long. And then it may make a lot of us, perhaps those who are in the know will know, but a lot of people wouldn't know. It is very correct. There's no doubt about it.
All right.
Yes, I also agree that is correct. It takes a longer time to get to know whether someone carries it or not, and then the whole clinical processes must be completed before they come forward with any case. But I think that better technologies are coming out, and the Federal Ministry of Health and all those concerned should look into that to speed the process of getting people tested.
All right. I think that sometimes, you don't want to panic and you don't want to, but I was watching something on CNN last night, and he was talking about, and they had a focus on what was going on in Britain. And the government in Britain was saying that they're shocked at the fact that some people have coronavirus within their system and they've had it for a month.
Okay, and even without getting in contact with anybody from anywhere.
They're asymptomatic. That means they're showing no signs. And for some of them, they've had it 3 weeks. Some of them, they've had it. So there are people who have late symptoms to this virus. So it will be there for a while. And then by the time it has duplicated enough or it has gotten, way down your system, then it starts to manifest or you begin to show the symptoms. And so they were saying with that, and with, how UK is situated in Europe, you've got people going to Italy, you've got people going to Germany, and they've had that back and forth interaction. And so they're waiting to see higher figures in the very near future. That's what Britain is saying, that they expect to see higher figures. And I tried to look at Nigeria and I said, well, I hope that we don't have that kind of escalated figures, because for Britain, they're grappling with it now. Their healthcare system is grappling with it. They're drawing far more than they can on the NHIS. They're asking for bailouts. The US too just recently reeled out its I think $3 trillion bailouts for the entire economy of the United States. For nations like Africa and third world, in nations like Nigeria and third world countries, I just, fold my hands and pray.
It's serious and massive, because if you look at what is also happening, the same US now, we have New York having the highest case, 25,665 as at yesterday. And then the death rate in Italy alone, which is very close to, the UK you are talking about now and what have you. So from the picture you have painted, I think what we should do in Nigeria is to subject almost every citizen to testing. If we have the facility and we have the equipment that we need to use for that. So
yeah, that's what UK is actually
really
doing.
to
I
do
think
so.
there's one country who has successfully tested all her citizens, because, well, they're not much. I can't remember. Was it Denmark? Now I saw something like that. They've tested, and they also came up with a report that there are quite a number of people who don't have symptoms and have shown that they have the virus. It is.
Yeah, we must also understand that you have equipment before you go
Exactly.
on an all-round test.
Exactly.
You must have equipment. I agree with you completely on that. Now that just in, NCDC confirms 2 new cases of coronavirus, one in Lagos, one in Osun. And then you also have coronavirus, widespread fear as Kerry, Bauchi governor, tests positive. You have that there, coronavirus, widespread fear as Bauchi governor and Abba Kerry test positive. Just a moment here. I saw this story and I want to make sure that I'm able to read it later. All right. In that story here, where it says widespread fear as Abba Kerry and the governor of Borno State of Bauchi State test positive for coronavirus. Of course, I'm just trying to pull up that story, but I guess what has caused the fear is the fact that these people have been at several meetings and they've been to several places.
Yeah.
For Abba Kerry, it is assumed that he must have picked up the virus while he was in Germany. And ever since he came back from Germany, he has met quite a number of people. Those people have gone on to meet other people. And so the panic is the possibility to have had that spread along that trajectory.
Yeah, I think it's a great job for the military, as they were suggesting, that they'll be deployed to do that. And let them use them to track whoever Abba Kerry must have met, because he has met a lot of people. He's a top government official who receives especially a lot of people on behalf of the president. Now, all the people that have gone in contact with him should be fished out, so that we certainly know at least a number that perhaps have been quarantined, if not the exact number that have tested positive. At least look at himself, and then I heard some aides of his have also tested
3
positive.
aides of his.
Can you imagine that? So we are in for, shockers here and there, because when eventually all the people that have gone in contact with him will be released, the figure may go up.
All right.
I think it's a good thing to do, going after all those that he may have had contact with. But I don't support the military being deployed to do that job. We are not. We know that COVID-19 is waging war against humanity across the world. But I do not think the military are the people to deploy to the street. We still have the police to do so. We have the DSS. I believe they can also help to do so. Even the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps can be mobilized, trained to handle some of these things. But the military is to defend our country's territorial integrity. And I do not think they should get involved that much in civil activities in this country.
All right. Well, you have that story. It's in the Vanguard newspaper. Just in, NCDC confirms 2 new cases. And then we have here widespread fear as Abba Kerry and Bauchi governor test positive. Influential chief of staff to President Muhammadu Buhari influential chief of staff, Malam Abakari, has reportedly tested positive to the rampaging coronavirus, which is currently wreaking havoc in the country, forcing some state governors to either put their states on lockdown or threaten to do so. While countries in the world have stepped up efforts to contain the ravaging virus, fear and uncertainty has gripped Bauchi state residents after it was confirmed that Governor Bala Mohammed tested positive to coronavirus. Earlier yesterday, Senior Special Assistant to Media to the governor, Mukhtar Gidado, in a statement, confirmed that the governor tested positive to the virus after his blood sample was taken to Abuja and tested by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC. This came as anxiety heightened at the country seat of power, Aso Villa, over reports of coronavirus infection. Meanwhile, the number of the virus in Nigeria yesterday rose from 40 to 44. So we'll move away from that story. We already did speak about that. And then reps shut down House for 2 weeks, pass economic stimulus bill to save jobs. The House of Representatives on Tuesday passed for concurrence by the Senate an emergency economic stimulus bill 2020. The bill was introduced by the Speaker, Mr. Femi Batabiamila, and fast-tracked to third reading to provide a stimulus for the Nigerian economy and roll back the depleting effect of the coronavirus. The bill, entitled the Emergency Economic Stimulus Bill 2020, aims at providing temporary tax exemptions to companies and to protect jobs in the civil service and the public sector. It also aims at protecting the employment status of Nigerians who might otherwise become unemployed as a consequence of management decision to retrench personnel in response to the prevailing economic realities. Because of the importance, the House attached to the bill, the lawmakers suspended their rules to allow the draft law to be introduced for first reading, debated on the second reading, and passed through third reading. After the consideration of the report at the Committee of the Whole, co-sponsors of the bill are Deputy Speaker Mr. Ahmed Wade and 8 other principal officers of the House. Well, it's up to the Senate now.
Certainly. Well, let's see whether there will be concurrence or there will not be, because the House may see it very important. The Senate may see it otherwise. But let's see exactly what pans out.
All right, then. What do you think about this, Fine Face?
I think that bill to an extent is ill-conceived. You know, we are in a state of crisis now in the country caused by the COVID-19. Some other countries are considering stimulus packages that has to do with the provision of certain amenities and packages that will alleviate the sufferings that COVID-19 is causing on the economy. In the United States, they are talking about 1 to 3 trillion US dollars. In the UK, food is being supplied to the people. And in Nigeria here, we have had even this issue of, drop in the fuel price as a result of COVID-19 that led to the removal of 20 naira from the pump price of the product. I believe in that area, funds saved from there. This is the best time to even remove the subsidy. And funds saved from there. And this one, they are trying to push into the pockets of companies now in the interest of keeping jobs. Those monies can be saved and given out to some Nigerians to kind of solve some problems. Now we are talking about not letting more than 3 persons in a taxi. How many vehicles have the government deployed to the streets to help convey people from one point to the other? We are talking about hand sanitizers. How many have the government provided for the people? We are talking about even fumigating some of the vehicles that carry people. How have they provided for this? Now, you have some of these issues not yet taken care of. You are putting money in the pockets of companies that already have money in the name of saving jobs. How many jobs can you actually save?
Well, I think for them, they said what they're doing is tax exemptions for companies.
They say about 50%.
Yes.
So that whatever they pay the company, instead of you to sack the worker, the 50% of the cost they will have to pay.
That your company is supposed to pay should be given to the worker.
Exactly. So you can imagine the trillions of naira that is coming in there. It can be used to solve other problems across the country in terms of this COVID-19.
Fine. All right, fine. We got your thoughts on that.
Maybe after.
We also have got Dr. Obugeni, William Arugo, Department of Business Law, Faculty of Law, River State University. I can't remember when last I saw him. It's like a decade now, is it, Emmanuel?
It's very low.
Well, Doctor, good to see you in the studio this morning.
Thank you, Annie.
How have you been?
I'm okay.
Great to see you. So, do you have anything you'd like to share with us concerning this rep shut down House for 2 weeks? Well, they passed it, sent it to the Senate, and they shut down.
But I think it's a step in the right direction. After COVID-19, there will be an economy to manage. You need to get the jobs rolling. The shock of pushing people to the streets because of COVID-19. That's something that the state cannot bear. And so if there are tax exemptions that are coming in line with what we've seen in other democracies, even the $3 trillion that the American government is talking about, part of the monies are not cash to be handed over to individuals. They are tax exemptions to companies and all of that. I think it's a step in the right direction. The problem is there any data, national data to work on? That's the problem.
That's where the caveat comes in.
You see, what Arugu said is just exactly what I had in mind. And then when Fanface was talking about give to people instead of companies, I asked the question, where's the data? How many? Who will you give and leave the other?
How do you give them?
And that is it.
Well, what do you do? Queue up and queue up somewhere so that coronavirus can just follow the trail.
No, you can say that again.
In 2019.
But in the United States, you don't need to go to anywhere. You just sit down and on a machine, you just hit the figures and they go.
Like the UK is giving about £94 and £94, to its citizens on this.
They have data.
They
know how to have this money to these people without physically meeting them.
They don't need to
Hold
see
on.
you.
That's the point. You don't have to physically meet these people. You can send money directly to them. Now, I can't remember with your voter card if you had to put your bank details.
I know we don't have data in the country, but last year we have generated some form of data of people that are benefiting from the handout 10,000 market women, office of the vice president through the Empower program and what have you, social program. So I believe we can still use the same pattern to see how to reach out to the people. Or if we cannot reach out to giving stipends to the people, there are things we could do. We have the National Emergency Management Agency. They can pass through them to share food stuff, share sanitizers, share things to the people using some of those funds.
I am pro sharing sanitizers and everything else and fumigating and doing all. I am through that. But once it becomes something where money needs to be passed on to people and it's going to go through 5, 6, 7 people, you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see that money. You wouldn't see that money, my brother. Well, it says here coronavirus as a springboard for rebirth. The average Nigerian has certain personality traits that are known all over the world. One of these is long suffering. Nigerians can endure under any condition. They can go through thick and thin to achieve their desired goal. Their patience is elastic, and that is why we are where we are today. The average Nigerian is also very intelligent. It's no surprise that surveys carried out by reputable international bodies have rated Nigerians as the most qualified professional on the Immigrants Index in the United States and the world. Fareed Zakaria of the CNN confirmed this in one of his programs. If we are intelligent, rugged, and patient, what then is holding Nigeria from becoming one of the best nations in the world? This is food for thought for all of our leaders. A country with this quality of human beings, coupled with the resources available in the land, has no reason to be susceptible to every slight shock coming from other parts of the world. Nigerians are also united when faced with common challenge. In sports, everyone is a Nigerian, including the Asari Dokubos, Nnamdi Kanus, the Shekals of this world. After the games, we all withdraw to our respective shells of religion, ethnicity, and the like. We were also united in the fight against the Ebola disease. The fight was a matter of life and death, and Nigerians confronted it with full determination and succeeded. If we succeeded with Ebola, we will also be victorious against the coronavirus that is causing havoc all over the world today. But the challenge of the coronavirus is different from Ebola in the sense that it is making people to withdraw into their respective shells. The wind of nationalism is blowing across the world, and countries are protecting their territories, shutting borders, and issuing travel bans to unwanted visitors. The world is a global village, is now under threat. And if that happens, only those with the capacity for self-sustenance can survive. The challenge of the coronavirus, as it is presently, is not only restricted to the health situation, but also poses serious danger to the economies of the nations. This can cause nations to go under, especially nations that are very dependent on foreign imports. Such nations will find it difficult to cope if the challenges of coronavirus continues in this manner. As we all know, Nigeria is in that category. Despite the sweet report that our authorities are presenting to us, if that is not the case, why have the prices of petrol and other products derived from crude oil remained high? We are producing crude oil, and the price of crude keeps falling at the international market. It has fallen above the 50% level at the international market, yet we're reducing price at 13%. To whose benefit is this? Whose responsibility is this? Is this not the right time to totally deregulate the oil sector instead of tackling challenges head on? In line with our natural and cultural attributes, our leaders always prefer the easy way out. We always have excuses to give. We're never prepared. And at the slightest global crisis, we are left scampering. Why must we depend on Lagos ports alone for imports? Is that good for our economy? Whose responsibility is it to get this sorted? Lots of questions and lots of pointers. But the writer is looking at, the author is the viewpoint from the Vanguard.
Okay. You see,
The coronavirus as a springboard for rebirth. He says one of the differences to how nations are reacting to this Ebola is in this we're withdrawing. It's more like look inwards now. What can you do? And for nations that are dependent on other nations, they might find it very difficult. We fall in that category. So will this cause us to actually look at ourselves in the mirror now and see us for who we are?
well, that's what it should do. But I doubt if it will do so in Nigeria. The reason is very simple. You know that, the salient parts he mentioned in that article, this article is one of the apt articles I've read in recent times. Now, he is asking several questions, but I tell you why Nigeria is a bit different, though being on the dependency bracket, is because of leadership. Now, leadership, look at the question he's talking about, the reduction in fuel price. Is Nigerian leadership not aware that prices of crude is falling internationally? Can it feign ignorance that it doesn't know? Why would it go with 13% reduction? So for me, I think whatever is happening is the leadership. Leadership is all about what Nigeria is lacking. And I think until we have leadership, if there will be any time we are going to have it, then if not, we'll continue in the circle we are.
Yes, I think this article is very apt, and of course, this is a time for national rebirth, what the coronavirus has presented before us now. Now, the first time I made this kind of comment was when the United States banned immigration from Nigeria from migrating to the US to stay. That if we all stay back in this country, we are going to make our country great, because we are going to contribute to the national development by staying back in Nigeria. Now, coronavirus has a kind of wickedly, or should I say, in a very good way, kept us back in the country again. Now, late yesterday evening, we heard of how Mr. President have gone into self-isolation. Aso Rock Intensive Care Unit has been activated. That means the president can actually take treatment in Nigeria if he falls sick. Now we are also told that the most powerful, secretary, influential, chief of staff to the president, has developed, tested positive to COVID-19 and has been moved to Lagos to be cared for in Lagos. That means Nigerian healthcare system, if properly fixed, actually care for our leaders in the country. These are what we've been talking about. If it were to be a just Nigerian case, it would have been flown abroad to other countries. But now there is restriction on all this. Even the UK, where they normally go, they have also banned flights from UK from entering Nigeria. That means we can actually look inwards to solve our problems in this country. This is the time.
You believe this is going to be a good springboard?
A good springboard. That is why I also call for the subsidy to be removed at this point in time.
Let me get to Dr. Aguru. Arugu.
I don't think that at the end of this crisis, at the end of the pandemic, anything will change. Nothing will change, because at the end of the the COVID-19 pandemic, you would see the president jet out to London for another round of medical treatment. What is there? For other democracies like the United States, their over-dependence on China for almost everything would cease, because there are policies towards that direction. In Nigeria, nothing will change. I was shocked to my bone marrow when I heard from the DG of NAFDAC that the only thing the pharmaceutical sector can produce, only raw material, is water. That's the only thing we can produce. And then starch that we have in abundance in Nigeria, the bulk of it comes from India. Why can't we produce starch? The reason is because our economy, the people benefit when we bring things from outside. And the people who formulate our policies will not allow the status quo to change because it will be against their interests. And so in order to get it right, yes, this is a window of opportunity, but are we going to make use of the opportunity? I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, then. Got your thoughts on that. We also have Dr. Austin Sado, lecturer, Department of Linguistics and Communication Studies, University of Port Harcourt. Good to see you here. Great to have you.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, we just read a piece here, and the writer, Emmanuel, I did get to see his name.
Okay.
Is it Ikoyiro? Ikoya. Ikhioya.
Okay, good.
He said something about coronavirus being the springboard for rebirth in Nigeria. The fact that maybe this will cause us to look inward, seeing that borders are shut, countries are not taking people in, and we're forced to look at ourselves and perhaps see what we really ought to have seen long ago in the mirror. And he believes that, this might just be the chance that we needed.
Yeah, we're thankful that at least somebody wrote something that gives us opportunity to discuss. It's part of who we are. As the last speaker said, nothing is going to change. What we're doing is just to activate the panic button and find a way to deal with the issue. In fact, even when you talk about Abba Kyari being moved to Lagos, who moved Abba Kyari to Lagos? How was he moved to Lagos? If the same thing happens to the child of a farmer in Ndoni, how will the child
Should
be
he be
treated?
moved to Lagos?
How will the child be moved to Lagos? So nothing will change. It will remain as it has always been, and it's a shame. If something was going to change, then you will have to have a plan. We don't have a plan. In UK, for example, every person is covered in the budget health-wise. Those in school, you cover them in your plan for their education. The old people, there are people who are living with kidney issue in UK for over 20 years. They are as normal as any other person because they can just move in twice a week and do their dialysis and still go to work. If you have anybody who has that challenge in Nigeria today, you're waiting for the person to die. So nothing is going to change because even if you intend that something will change, you need resources. You need plan to put them, to deploy them. The people we have in government, they don't have that capacity. Fine Face was talking earlier on and said, look, that if we all stay in this country, we'll have opportunity to build the country. It's not true. Why is no? I'm sorry, I'm saying it's not true. Not because it's outrightly wrong, but the point is when you look at who we are as a people, the Nigerians who move out of this country, they compete favorably with others in Western democracies. When they come to this country, they are relegated.
Yeah.
Because of the mafia economy and politics that we do here, we actually look for the dredge of the society to put in power in this country because that way the Oga Patapata in quote is able to control those
manipulate
and tell them. It doesn't matter what level of leadership, whether it is the local government chairman. The local government chairman is not likely going to look for bright brains to advise him as local government because he's not going to take advice from those guys. He's only seeing those guys as giving them food, putting food on their table. So they should be grateful that he has appointed them. The same thing for the governors. With due respect to the people who are commissioners in this thing, I am very intelligent, brilliant people. But I don't know how many of them will have access to the governor with an independent view and opinion to say, Mr. Governor, I disagree with you on this point. If you do that, you're fired the next moment. And so for you to still keep food on your table and enjoy the dividend in democracy, you've got to follow the line.
Follow
the
the
line. For the president and everything. Again, we are in this, and sadly so, the world is making you will see what will happen. Let me just say this, and just
We need to read the news, actually.
Oh, come
we
on.
We need to take the news, but we might have enough time to deliberate on that. And just before I go, Osibajo begins self-distancing and self-isolation. Vice President Yemi Osibajo has begun self-isolation in accordance with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control Protocols. His spokesman disclosed on Tuesday. Mr. Lalo Akande, Senior Special Assistant Media and Publicity to the Vice President, disclosed that Professor Osibajo has begun observing social distancing. VP Osibajo yesterday at the office conducted his meetings via video conferencing while observing social distancing. So I'm wondering, why is the VP social distancing and I self-isolation? Is the president doing the same too?
Yes.
The president is doing
Yes.
the same. All right, okay. We'll take the news. News comes up in just a moment.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM. Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM. Port Harcourt. News update.
Hello and good morning. Here's the news update on Today 95.1 FM. I am Annie Abdul Salam. Members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, including the Secretary General of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and the Minister for Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, have visited the presidential villa and the office of the Chief of Staff, Abba Carey. This follows reports that the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Carey, tested positive to the coronavirus. However, the team declined from speaking to the media after the inspection. No one has, however, given an official confirmation or explanation on the status of the Chief of Staff. Meanwhile, the presidency has reduced the number of journalists covering activities at the Presidential Villa Abuja. The action, according to a circular signed by the Deputy Director of Information, Atta Issa, on behalf of the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, was to help maintain social distancing. The circular advised those who were not represented in the list to liaise with those listed for necessary information and news, as well as information officers in the President's media office during the interim arrangement. Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, has tested positive for the coronavirus disease. The governor's senior special assistant on media, Maktour Gidado, announced this in a statement. This comes a day after the governor took the test after he had contact with the son of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is confirmed to have been infected with the virus. Governor Mohammed had returned to Bauchi from an official trip to Lagos after he met with Atiku's son on the plane, where both men shook hands and exchanged pleasantries. Although he is yet to show any symptoms of the disease, he has since gone into self-isolation to prevent any possible spread of the virus. The governor's aide disclosed that 6 initial tests were administered on the governor as well as his family and aides who accompanied him to Lagos. He said out of the 6 initial tests carried out, 1 sample was confirmed positive of COVID-19, which was that of the governor. River State government has ordered the closure of the popular oil mill market. The government in the directive that it will arrest anyone who is found trading in the market. The closure is part of measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus in the state. And now to the foreign scene. Egypt is to impose a nighttime curfew for 2 weeks from today to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Prime Minister Mustafa Mutabuli, who made the announcement that the movement will be banned on all public roads from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. for 2 weeks. The Prime Minister insisted that all mass transport, public and private, will be halted over the same period, saying that penalties for violators will include a fine of up to 4,000 Egyptian pounds and even prison, disclosing that central and provincial government services, including the issuing of licenses, will be suspended for 2 weeks. Cafes and nightclubs will also be closed, while restaurants and other food outlets will be allowed to offer delivery services only. Bakeries, grocery stores, pharmacies, and supermarkets outside malls will be exempted. And that wraps the news update here on Today 95.1 FM. Thank you for listening. To have a good morning.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
Hey, Hey, no be by mouth, oh, no be by talk. You feel say you sabi cook. Oh yeah, oh, Naija noodles ultimate sir don land for with the mouth. Oh yeah, carry your pot, carry your spoon. Time don reach as 28 housemate go waka on top this competition for the person wey go win this ogbonge cooking competition. You still dey waka? Oh yeah, throw leg run visit www.noodlescookingquest.com
or make you pay into GT Bank account 0130765340. The account name now Media Corp. To collect your admission form, you go carry your bank teller go Today FM, where they Today FM Drive, off East West Road, before UPT 8, Port Harcourt, River State. Admission form na 2,005 oh, 2,500 naira. Chicken.
Remember, say you fit stand chance to win better prizes. Third prize 300,000 naira. Second prize 500,000 naira. First prize 1 million naira. Oh, with 1 year ambassador brand of 25 million naira. No be here. Oh, don't forget say other gun body prizes still dey. Dates na June to August 2020. Auditions go hold for Uyo, Calabar,
Port Harcourt,
Lagos, Edo, Delta, Anambra, Abuja, Kaduna, Katsina, Benue, Oyo, Ekiti, Imo, and Enugu State. For more information,
green us for
0818-389-2850.
Our people they talk say better soup na money kill am, but me they talk say better thing na Indomie kill am.
Proudly sponsored by Indomie Noodles
and our official media partner now Today FM 95.1 Port Harcourt.
Eat, play and win.
You ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
7 minutes has gone past 9, and I've got here with me Fortune from Planet View Properties. Fortune, good morning. Good to have you.
Good morning, Annie.
All right, so tell us what's new with Planet View.
I can see the way you're cleaning the whole
Please.
area.
I've got to clean.
Social distancing and all.
Very necessary.
Yes, so hope everybody's doing that. We are not only here to promote our services, we also, do our own bit to recognize that things are happening and we need to be careful. So be clean and be safe. Meanwhile, I'm from Planet View Properties, and we are a real estate company located here in Port Harcourt, and we've been doing business for some time. And I'm sure some of you already know us. You know, we do as we promise. So now we have some properties, that are up for grabs this Easter period. Even though we know things are a bit tougher, we know that we just have to move on. Nigerians always do that.
All right.
So we will
move on.
Yeah. Now, you can get these properties located around the Greater Port Harcourt region, which is Obirikwere. Mm-hmm. You have Queensland Estates now selling for 4.5 million naira. That's an estate located at Rukwaku, just after J. Swipe Memorial College. You get a plot of land there just by the roadside, before Jet. I think there's a filling station just after, the J. Swipe Memorial College.
Okay.
Yeah, just after J. Swipe. If you're coming from Obirikwere, you get to that, before you get to the next filling station is where the property is. Very, very fine. You have a livable community just behind the estate. So you see that it's somewhere you can actually start development. Then it's going for 4.5 million naira. That's the giveaway price for now, since it's a launch. Then you also have the one located behind the new international airport selling for 850,000 naira. That is a layout where you can build anything, any design you want. We are not restricting you to any form of design or paint type or anything like that. You have total autonomy of what you're buying, which is the land, and you have full security. Now, this particular layout has roads as high as much as 9 meters. I think that's the lowest we have, 9-meter road. So it's as wide as you can imagine. You
9
also
meters?
Have, yes, 9 meters road. It's very, very convenient for people to go through. Then for the major roads, you have 15 meters going all around. So it's quite spacious. Then the size of the lands are 465 square meters. That's 50 by 100. Now
Per plot, that's it.
Per plot, yes. And if you get a plot of land here, you're getting 1,000 blocks. You give you 1,000 for each plot.
So if I buy two,
you get 2,000 blocks.
Okay.
Yes. So that should be enough for a 6-coach fence for one plot. But the more you buy, the more the blocks pile up, then you can decide on what to do. Maybe you probably start building immediately.
You can use all to build one. One of the plots. Okay.
Yeah. What's amazing is today is Wednesday and it's inspection day. A lot of people are not sure they want to come out because of the outbreak.
Yeah.
But we have strict measures as to how to go about these things.
So what's that?
We have a lot of sanitizers in the office.
Okay.
The cars are fumigated. You understand, and we don't have to get this full capacity in the vehicle. We need space now.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also advise if you're coming for inspections, you come with your vehicle.
Okay.
We just lead the way and you follow. You know, so we adhere to the social distance thing. You know, so it's easier that way. Everybody's being careful. So if you want to reach us, you can reach us at 64A Tombia Extension, GRA, Port Harcourt. That's just before Royal House of Grace. Or you call Mr. Richman on 080 34 21 3191 or Fortune on 081 60 36 3989.
All right, and thank you so much, Fortune, for coming on.
All right, thank you very much.
Stay with us as the program continues in just a moment.
Today is here. Yesterday is gone and unrecoverable. Tomorrow, you don't know what it holds, right? You have today. Yes, you heard me. You have today. The indisputable truth is that today is pregnant with both good and bad. You have freely been given today as a gift to see what you will make out of it. Permit me to be positive. Permit me to sideline the negative and magnify the good. Permit me to espouse on today. Today is great. Today is wonderful. Today is targetable and targets can be achieved. Today is domineering and you can be dominant. Today is a conqueror and goals can be conquered. Today is challenging and you can challenge yourself for the better. Today is cheerful. You can choose to be happy. Just in case you're sulking, saddened and feeling sorry for yourself. Enough of the wallow in self-pity. You have today. I mean today. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. Take that step today. Opportunities are everywhere. Just be sensitive. Build on yourself and get ready for the opportunity. Be the best you can be today, because I see the sun smiling on you. This message is powered by Today
95.1 FM.
Voice of the people.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Welcome to Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited, a subsidiary of Result Investments Nigeria Limited. For the past 3 years, we have actually used this international capital market to touch lives, families, and companies. We have had firms use this international capital market to open factories such as tissue paper, factory production, bakery, pastries factory, and table water factory. We have also had companies use this international capital business to pay for the running cost of their companies, which include their staff salary payment. Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is strictly into the international capital market business, where we trade and invest in 3 sectors: trading and investment in the stock and shares markets, which included trading and investing in the New York Stock Exchange market, European stock market, and Asian stock market. Trading and investment in the commodity market, which include trading in the crude oil market, natural gas, and gold market. We trade and invest in the FX market, which is known as the currency market. For example, the US dollar against Naira market, The rate at which dollar gains strength over naira would skyrocket the price of the market upward. The rate at which the naira gains strength over dollar will skyrocket the price of the market downward. In Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited, we are ready to do business with three categories of people, Mondays to Fridays. Client A is one who is a novice about the international capital market, and he or she is looking for a reliable and credible platform to learn the trade secrets on how to make consistent profit on the trading floor of the international capital market. Then Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is for you. Client B. This is a client who have done this business before, but he or she is not making profits in the capital market because what we have around is people training you, but they do not know how to trade in the market. Then, if you are in this category, Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is for you. Client C. This is one who wants to invest his or her money in the market, but wants the company to manage his or her portfolio of funds to earn good returns on investment. Then, Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is for you. Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited, which is a subsidiary of Resort Investments Nigeria Limited, has a proven history of delivering 10% return on investment to her clients for over 3 years now, without stories or delay of any kind. We have looked on different people's financial objectives and we came up with different investment plans. We have the short-term investment and long-term investment. Short-term investment is strictly for 1 month investment and the company offers 8% return on investment on any capital. Long-term investment is from 3 months to 2 years and the company offers 10% return on investment on a monthly basis. The long-term investment is divided into the following categories: 3-month plan, 6-month plan, 1-year plan, 18-month plan, and 2 years plan, all of which offers the client 10% return on investment monthly with a minimum capital of 300,000 naira and maximum of 100 million naira. The sustainability of the capital market has to do with the fluctuation of price. As long as there are fluctuations of prices in the stock market, commodity market, and FX market, we are also bound to make profit on the trading floor of the market. For example, the crude oil price of today can never be compared with the crude oil price of tomorrow. $1 barrel movement on the trading floor is a lot for us that trade on the market. The reason why Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited is different is simply because of the live trading services we offer and the constant delivering of 10% return on investment we have been offering our clients for the past 3 years. We just uploaded a video on our website on how the company made 36 million naira as profit on the trading floor of the market. This has never been done in Nigeria or Africa before. If you are looking for a reliable and credible platform to learn or invest in the international capital markets, then think Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited. Remember, we mentioned road to 2020, and 2020 is here. When the company will be celebrating 4 years of delivering 10% to her clients, we shall be giving away 2 brand new cars and sponsor 2 couples to Dubai to see our Dubai office and for vacation. For more inquiries, you can contact our offices at number 33B Rumola Stadium Link Road, just by Salvation Ministries Glass House, Port Harcourt, or branch office at number 10 NTA Road by Rumokuta Checkpoint, Port Harcourt. Visit our website at www.returnsinvestmentsnigerialimited.com, or you can call us on 090 346 14444 or 090 365 27708 or 081 551 89002. Choose financial freedom. Choose Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Wake up to today's quest.
Wake up.
All the news and information you need in one go. Get started with the best of sports, lifestyle, analysis, and Annie.
Can you feel it?
Can you feel it? Wake up to today's quest with Annie on Today 95.1 FM from 6 to 11 a.m. weekdays. Fantastic.
Opinion poll on today's quest.
More than 3 over 4 of the loots we are talking about in this country today were loots within the 16 years.
Here is a great opportunity to sample all our opinions on the issues raised.
in Port Harcourt says the PDP is trying to divert our attention because Nigerian funds was looted by the PDP. Melody in Uniport says Madam Jonah is yet to come in terms of the fact that her tenure has expired. Annie, please tell him that investigation is not what you make public until the final stage.
Send your opinion to us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Today 95.1 FM, or on Twitter @TodayFM951. You can also sample your opinion with us on WhatsApp or on our SMS portal using the numbers 070-1933-9962. Welcome back. 22 minutes has gone past 9, and you are still listening to Today 95.1 FM. It's time for the opinion poll segment, and for opinion poll, we'll be looking at, well, most especially the coronavirus as a springboard for rebirth. And I said that was written by Sonny Ikioya for the Vanguard, and he did say that the average Nigerian has a certain personality trait that are known all over the world. One of these is long suffering. Nigerians can endure under any condition, and they can go through thick and thin to achieve their desired goal. Their patience is elastic, and that is why we are where we are today. The average Nigerian is also very intelligent. It's no surprise that surveys carried out by reputable international bodies have rated Nigerians as the most qualified professional on the Immigrant Index in the US and the world. Fareed Zakaria of the CNN confirmed this in one of his programs. If we are intelligent, rugged, and patient, then what is holding Nigeria from becoming one of the best nations in the world? This is food for thought for all our leaders. A country with this quality of human beings, coupled with the resources available in the land, has no reason to be susceptible to any slight or every slight shock coming from other parts of the world. Nigerians are also united when faced with common challenge. In sports, everyone is a Nigeria, including the Asari Dokubos, Nnamdi Kanus, and the Shekels of the world. After the games, we all withdraw to our respective shells of religion, ethnicity, and the like. We were also united in the fight against Ebola disease. The fight was a matter of life and death, and Nigerians confronted it with full determination and succeeded. If we succeeded with Ebola, we'll also be victorious against the coronavirus, which is causing havoc all over the world today. But the challenge of the coronavirus is different from Ebola in the sense that it is making people to withdraw into their respective shells. The wind of nationalism is blowing across the world, and countries are protecting their territories, shortening borders, and issuing travel bans to unwanted visitors. The world as a global village is now under threat, and if that happens, only those with the capacity of self-sustenance can survive. The challenge of the coronavirus, as it is presently, is not only restricted to the health situation, but also poses serious danger to the economies of nations. This can cause nations to go under, especially nations that are very dependent on foreign imports. Such nations will find it difficult to cope if the challenge of coronavirus continues in this manner. As we all know, Nigeria is in that category. Despite the sweet report the authorities are presenting to us, if that is not the case, why have the prices of petrol and other products derived from crude oil remained high? We are producing crude oil, and the price of crude keeps falling at the international market. It has fallen over the 50% level at the international market, yet we are reducing price at 13%. To whose benefit is this? Whose responsibility is this? He went on to talk about the federal roads being in a deplorable state. Forget what Babatunde Fashola is saying. You need to drive through federal roads to experience it. You do not have good road network. If you do not have good road networks to bring agri products to the towns and cities, how can you resolve the challenge of food sufficiency? We want to promote indigenous production, and our legislators are rejecting home-produced vehicles. How do we grow in that sector? The challenge is not looking elsewhere. The solution lies with the face in the mirror. The coronavirus challenge is a new one that will test all our facilities, both the leaders and the led. It is time to have hospitals of international standards. Our leaders do not need to go on medical tourism, and that will save us scarce foreign exchange. We must prepare and be ready. Other countries are already doing that. We must not be left behind. Why should we not look at the health sector? We should not look at the health sector alone, but particularly we must look at the economy. We will surely survive the coronavirus, but how do we contain the economic effects? According to Neil Kashkari, President, Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, USA, everyone is heading into recession. Financial markets do not know how to price risk and investment. We do not know until science puts us through. That is the picture of the other side of coronavirus, the uncertainty. You cannot predict it and so cannot reach a definite conclusion. But we must be ready no matter what happens. According to Neil, it is better to be prepared than not to meet the demands. Government has the onerous task of protecting both itself and the people. Neil says governments must intervene on the side of the people. It is better for the economy if the workers are retained in their businesses. It is better to keep people employed. So the panicky reaction to the international crude price fall should not be a basis for the government to take rash decisions. They must focus on keeping the economy stable, encourage businesses to continue operation through support interventions, interest-free grants, and waivers. Government must use this period to cut cost of running government at all levels and use the accrued monies to fund indigenous researches, build roads and other infrastructure. The bloated National Assembly expenses must also come down. From now, it must be Nigeria first. All foreign official tolls must be cancelled, and scarce foreign exchange will be used basically for essentials. It is time for sacrifice making, and I know that the Nigerian people can cope, but will the government lead by example? Right. Ikioya is a social commentator, and he wrote that piece. The Vanguard carried it.
You see, you expanded the whole thing. You know, in my comment, I said yes. The way it stands. What the author also was hinting at the stage you read to was that, well, things will change if leaders allow that. And that's why I said the problem Nigeria has is leadership. Now, take for instance, when this thing started, we all heard it, both the citizens and, of course, the leadership. But what effort did the leadership make to make sure that the borders were closed, the airports, that all these epicenters of coronavirus, that people were not streaming from there to Nigeria? None. It was when the thing has reached the neck that they started saying, okay, we are closing border on this number of countries and nobody should be coming. Also, at that time, it has already permeated our society. And that is why we are recording the upsurge, which of course some individuals are hinting that the number may even be low. The one, because government is always very conservative when it comes to pushing out figures that happens on the wrong side. Now, if you check also, you find out that everything, crude, is what we depend on. And now that is falling internationally. Yet the leadership is very reluctant to reduce the price. For me, the citizenry will do everything because there's a widespread of activities for the leadership to do than the citizenry. Because the citizens are following what the leaders have done. There's no way, if you do anyhow, then it will be as if you are subverting the efforts of government. And you could be tagged anything and labeled, whatever, and then, you know, either you are taken to court or you are put in prison, whichever. And they have such right because they've been given the mantle of leadership to lead Nigerians. So for me, I think the problem lies in the leadership. Life after COVID-19, because someday it must end. No matter what, it must end. It's not the first one. The influenza after the Second World War was even, in fact, so far ravaged more than this, even though we don't know when this one will end. It later ended. So I believe this one will also not last forever. But what will the economy look like? And if you come with a strategy of, because when I hear work from home, at someday they'll get tired of those working at home and then let them off. Now, what will be the shape of the economy after the COVID-19? The shape it will take will depend on the measures adopted by government. That is why it is good as at now for government to do certain things that are very much necessary. Will they do it? It is in their hands to do it or not.
All right. Your feelings on that. Fine face doing a minute.
Yes, this is a very nagging issue, and I think the analysis we've gotten from that writer is very, very apt. It explained almost and touched on almost all sectors that we are looking at in the light of this COVID-19 pandemic that we are facing, as a people. To me, this thing started, like heavy rain, and any rain that begins heavily usually ends quickly. So whatever it is, the authorities must do all they can to ensuring that we don't have more than necessary casualties. Because if some advanced countries can be taken to the graves, minimum of 500 persons every 24 hours, then if it hits Nigeria the way it has hit other countries of the world, maybe it will be a kind of cynical plot to reduce the population of the country. Because if those countries that we believe have good medical system could not cope, I wonder what will happen. Yesterday, we all listened to the New York governor, crying on TV that the federal government must come in, that he has 25,665 as at yesterday, and that the ventilators he has are not enough, and I need 3,000 ventilators, and that one costs between $20,000 to $25,000 to buy one. And you can see the crisis they are facing and how people are dying. 2 days ago, we had Italy taken to the grave 627. Yesterday we got 743 people going to the grave every 24 hours. So I think in this country, our authorities must take some stringent measures to ensuring that the population do not suffer as much as it should be. I remember the reluctance it took them to ban some flight to Nigeria because they thought they could leave it open and whenever it happens to them, they will fly out. But the pressure from Nigerians and authorities and other members of the society forced them to take action. I also recall that to an extent, many states are not also properly prepared for this. And we heard about the woman that even died in Enugu, although they later said she tested negative. But then the quarantine center was nothing to write home about. So I think all effort and all steps, everything we need to do must be put in place to address, this particular issue, because the way it is coming, if we are not prepared proportionately, it's going to be a problem to us.
All right, got your thoughts on that. Let me move on to Dr. Arugo.
The issue about whether if we're not prepared, it's not a if. There's no if in it. We are not prepared. We're not prepared. There's no testing center in the whole of Rivers State. To test somebody, you need to take the person to a specialist hospital in Irua, in Edo State. That's poor. How many hours? The road from Rivers State to Edo to test somebody and get the result 2 days later. Are you prepared for that kind of problem? Have you seen how COVID-19 has ravaged advanced economies like Spain and Italy and all of that? So we're not prepared for it. But what are the basic things that we have not been able to solve? Talk of COVID-19. Nigeria exports crude, and there is no Nigerian ship that is involved in the exportation of crude. Nigeria is the only OPEC country that has no shipping line to export our crude. We rely on foreign shipping firms to do that. Nigeria is the only member of OPEC that does not produce petrol at home, fuel at home. We need to import refined fuel back to Nigeria. We are not prepared for anything. There's nothing we are prepared for. There's not even to feed ourselves, we cannot do that. Is it to take care of COVID-19? The only way I tell all Nigerians and everybody who is around me is stay away from COVID-19. Stay away from it. That's the only way to survive. Because if it hits Nigeria the way it did hit China, or the way it is treating the Italians and the Spanish.
Okay, Doctor, let me direct this conversation this way. We already know there's a pandemic. We know that we might be one of those worst hit countries. It's a very strong possibility that will happen. And we're saying, all right, is this supposed to be a springboard for us here as Nigerians? Will this cause us now to introspect? Will we start thinking of fixing the structures that we've left derelict over the years? Will this cause us now to get leaders who understand why certain foundations must be laid now and improved upon for future generation? Is this going to cause that sort of thinking?
I don't.
Because first of all, the writer said, in other climes, we do excellently. Among immigrants in other nations, we are supposedly the most educated and the ones who provide for their families, the ones who are ready to take on any job. We're that resilient and that intelligent. So why is it here at home we can't seem to get a functional economy, or should I say a functional nation that can provide and care for her citizens? So we've got wrong leaders. Will this cause us to take a different step now?
I don't think so. It will not make us take a different step because the basis for a different step is not there. The foundation for a different step is not there. One thing that would make us not function well as a country or change the way we reason is the structure of our governance, our federal system of government, where the states that produce the bulk of the things will go to the federal government to pick what handouts. And so you don't see governors thinking. At the end of the day, you're going to get monies from Abuja. And so the kind of governance where it does not make leaders think can bring out the best of the people. So a federal system of government is wrongly structured. A system of governance where people tell you that children is a gift, they're a gift from Allah. The more you have, the more money you are giving from the federation accounts. And so you see a set of people just sit down and reproduce, and the numbers, they go home with more money. That kind of system cannot make you think differently because it's wrongly structured. Again, what is our value system? Our values, look at Nigeria today. If you go to a political gathering and you seem to argue like somebody who is very smart and intelligent, the next time they don't invite you for the political meeting.
You're too smart.
No, you're too smart. No, don't invite him. This man will cause problems for us. And so that's the system. And so in a system where you don't use your first 11 to play your game, and you use your worst 11 to play your game, you don't expect anything different. So the only way we can benefit, that's the positive side of this pandemic, it's when we begin to change, restructure almost everything in Nigeria. Let's go back to the way we govern this country. How can the basis of what you have be a function of your population? No, it doesn't work like that. The basis of what you have will be a function of your contribution to the national pool. So it will make you think outside the box. That's my own contribution.
All right, we've got your thoughts there. Dr. Austin Sato?
Well, I think generally, when you have a disaster of this magnitude, it should actually be a springboard. But for the reasons that my colleagues have adduced here and a few others, I think it will just be business as usual. You know, we have had government that told us this is not business as usual.
Yeah.
It turned out to be, those governments turned out to be the worst governments so far in the country. So we just mouth these things as a sloganeering and just keep moving on that way. The level of primitive and crass materialism among our leaders will not allow us to move forward. The people that are in leadership, as we speak now, with the low price of oil, people in NNPC and people in government have still not discounted their personal gains. they are still factoring in what they stand to gain. So if it's possible, if we're selling oil for less than $10, they will still not give you account of $10 worth oil. So the level of crass materialism among our leaders is such that it doesn't look as if we're actually human. The humanity in many of us is gone. Then the other aspect of it is the criminal docility of the public. The public allow the victim to be properly victimized. If we're talking about, somebody's going to tell you, oh, you mean that they should keep the ventilator in Gwagwalada when the chief of staff to the president needs it, move it to Lagos. And so many other persons are going to, you see, they are not the same. If this man doesn't die, he will save others. And when we do that, we are simply looking at where we come from, where we worship, the contacts we have, and all that. So we are grossly docile in this country. We don't ask people questions. We don't make demands of our leaders. Then, of course, the issue of religion and ethnicity, joined with that level of docility, makes it absolutely impossible. Let me give you an example. We are having about 2 million children writing JAM every year. Close to that, between 1.8 and maybe 2.1 or 2.2 writing JAM every year. Ask the Minister of Education of this country, or even the Commissioner of Education in any state. Ask the person, what's the provision for these people who are going to write JAM? They'll tell you that we have such a number of universities. So you can see that from the time they were in primary school, nobody takes census of the number of people who are in primary school, and when they are going to leave primary school, what they will need for their tertiary education. Nobody is taking care of that. We're talking about health, for example, now. Is it not a shame that somebody is saying we don't have ventilators? And you have, I remember when I was in primary school, there was this skin disease I had that the general hospital was finding difficult to deal with in Onitsha. It was at the military hospital in Onitsha that the matter was handled. So the military hospitals generally across the globe are known to be centers of excellence. Yes. In our own military hospital, it's a big shame that we have a clinic in State House, which we have been crying about the amount of money they've invested into those clinics, yet it can't take care of Kiari. So you ask yourself, where has the money gone to? The amount of money that has been budgeted annually for the maintenance of that clinic, where does it go? And they've taken him away, took him to somewhere where he could be cared for. So you look at then you look at, if you can move this argument of the people in university or primary school further to say, fine, if this number of people are going to be educated, we need this number of universities. Now, if we need this number of universities, it means that so number of persons are likely going to come out of school. And people talk about creation. Sometimes there are crazy things we do here. Say, governor should create job, president should create job. It doesn't happen that way. You don't just wake up morning and say, okay, I've created. You don't do it. So what are the policies you have put in place that would drive the economy to ensure that production is ongoing? Look at what is happening. I heard while I was coming, I heard Van Face talking about giving money or not giving money. You also make contribution about it. Stimulus package is a common economic practice. If you want to keep your company, if you want to keep the workforce, running, if you want, because there's what we call money creation ability. If I work and I get 500 naira, that 500 naira is put into further creation, and it generates as the multiplier effect of that money exchanging hand. Somebody gets something and all that. So if you do not keep these people working, you deny the chain of supply along that line, people down the line will not get something to do. Are we thinking about that? So when you don't have stimulus package and they tell you that the one they are doing in this country, which they tie to political parties, and of course, Fine Face alluded to that, but I disagree, because when you do, what do they call it? Money woman? No.
Market woman,
trader money. Well, give me one person who is not a member of the ruling party who is benefiting from trader money. So it's nonsense. It's all political gimmicks.
Yes.
We are in big time trouble. And I tell people, why should it take this long, even for the nation to completely shut down for 14 days? Since we know that it's going to take about 14 years for manifestation, we have done badly already. But from where we are now, why are we not doing it? So I tell in my house, we are on lockdown.
Yes.
I'm the only one that comes out. And I tell them there's soap outside. If you step out of the car, you come out, wash. We must protect our families because this government is not thinking about us. I mean, they talked about the son of Atiku Abubakar testing positive. Whether it is PDP or APC, they will come together to save him.
Yes.
If it happens to any of us who are known to be critics of this government, it's going to be good riddance to bad rubbish. Oh, one critical voice is down. Let them go. I mean, it's a natural cause. It's unfortunate, and Nigerians are not thinking. So, for me, we will not take advantage of it. We have never taken advantage of any situation. Even when people talk about oil, I grew up in this country talking about granite pyramid. I grew up in this country talking about palm oil. The land is there. These products are still there. Why are we talking about oil? I grew up in this country riding the trains. Nobody does that. Train has become a perpetual weapon of politics, right, from administration to administration.
Okay, I think that though from conversations we've had here, there isn't much of an agreement that this is going to be any form of springboard for a better nation. And for me, what I've garnered from all of you is that most of it is hinged, or the cost majorly is hinged on the criminal docility of the citizens. We will allow anything to go as long as our neck is saved, and we can't be bothered with pushing for a change because, well, it's a difficult thing to do, and we don't want to be roped in that process. Can we feed now? Can we eat now? Can we go to school? Can we go to work? If that is what we can do, we probably don't want to stop that process, that chain, in order to see that there's a better tomorrow. If this is the picture that we paint of ourselves as Nigerians, are we saying there's nothing we can do for a better Nigeria? Because obviously, the push must come from the people. The leaders will feed fat as long as the system continues to allow them to have this upper hand. And I don't see any leader. I mean, I'll take myself for example. Somehow I'm made the governor of that fantastic state, and I have access to all the money I can have. I can spend as I want. I can give my sister something. I can give my brother something, and I have a system that I can manipulate that will not frown too much at what I've done. I don't think I want to change it. I mean, if I've benefited from it, well, so be it. Perhaps it's my turn. When Akin comes on board, Akin can change it if he wants. Now, if the system is like this, I don't think we'll have leaders who will willingly come in to change it to their detriment. The onus lies on the people. The push for that change must come from the people. The push to use this as a springboard must come from the people. And if we're that docile, as from what I get from all of you, how is this to be done then?
Well, I don't think I am one of those that talked about the criminal docility of the people. No.
Are they docile?
Well, they are docile, but the docility...
Let's remove the criminal out of it then. No, let's go with docile.
Even if you tie the criminality.
No, let's remove it, Emmanuel. Okay. You agree they're docile.
They are docile, but the docility comes from leadership.
Hold on, Emmanuel.
Yes.
They're docile. Now, how do you get these docile people to push for a change in the systems?
Oh, well, it's unfortunate I might sound pessimistic here. There might not be a way. The reason is because the people have been squeezed into the mold that by leadership, and that is what... See, let me give you an example. In 2014, a set of polytechnic lecturers just came out and they were looking for a raise in their salary. They complained bitterly and said because of that, they will protest, they'll file on the road. Lecturers, once they were filed out and we're going, well, maybe the powers that be or whoever sent the police officers and all that, they used water cannon and all that on those lecturers. You know what happened? All of them gathered and said, since peaceful protest is no longer what can be allowed, because none of them had been unruly, then left and went back to their shell. Now, have you ever heard, since that 2014, that the lecturers came out and then fired on the streets? No. Take, for instance, the union of Dr. Sada. Also, how long have they done anything? And the leadership is not budging. In the end, perhaps they would get tired and then stay. Now, will you say they don't know what to do? No. They do know what to do, but it doesn't cut a dash. It doesn't have any impression. It doesn't have any maybe imprint on the leadership. So for me, I tell you, Nigeria, in terms of docility of there's no doubt about it, because nothing will happen, and you see citizens say, no, sovereignty belongs to us. We do not accept. That's as far as the docility has grown. But it is because of leadership. If you go alone, they will pick you and they put you in a way that I never see as others will say, is it what I'm going to see? Meanwhile, you are providing life, you are providing, in fact, you are doing all that government should have done. You are taking care of yourself and your family. And so let me take care of myself. For me, for Emmanuel Ndukwe, no.
All right.
No signs.
So if the people can push for it, I doubt very much the leaders will certainly come on board and say, you know what, we've enjoyed this money too much. Let's allow the people now have. I doubt. So that means this is an onward circle for us. All right, let me get your thoughts on this. Docile people, what is the possibility of having this as a springboard for having a better Nigeria?
Well, this to me will be a springboard for a better Nigeria.
Okay.
It may not happen automatically because nothing happens spontaneously, but it's going to be a gradual process. Why I think so is because the COVID-19 pandemic is exposing certain things within our system. One, it has made me, for the first time, I got to know that we had just 2 ventilators in the country. Let me not say in the country, but in the National Hospital Abuja. And that is a national teaching hospital. Where it's supposed to be, Gwagwalada is supposed to be the center of excellence. We had just 2. Now we've known we had just 2. We have also known that the Aso Rock intensive care units has been activated for the first time in preparation for whatever may happen to the president to take care of his health since he has gone into self-isolation. That's another thing we've got to know. We've now also gotten to know that for the chief of staff to the president to be cared for, he has to move to Lagos. And where he's going to in Lagos, we don't also have the ventilator. We have to use the one from Gwagwalada to go and take care of him. These are some of the things that are coming up. And apart from that, we are now at a time that what we are suffering from now, the pandemic is not only peculiar to Nigeria, it has affected other parts of the world. That is why it is now a pandemic, which means that they cannot outrightly run. I know they have a lot of private jets that can fly them out, or even where they are going to. There is a kind of restriction on where they can go to. And even the people they are going to meet to treat them are also looking for who to help them. So we are now in a way confined to our country. So if we are here, it is now for citizens to raise their voice and make demands on the system. Now these things are like this, they are like that. You have to make them like this, like this, like this. This is the time to make demands on the system. If we can cope, I don't think the pandemic we are suffering now will end in the next 4 weeks. It may exceed the next 4 weeks. We are now about to round up the month of March. I think we may be in this year about June if steps are not taken. And from what we are seeing, just yesterday we had 44 cases. This morning we have had 46 by this morning, which means that Nigeria have started having increase in the number of people that are a kind of positive, standing positive to these cases. So if that is the case, it is now for we that are in the business of advocating to work with citizens, let people get to make demand on the system for things to change. If we finish this round of threats that we face as a people, and we do not have certain things in place, especially in the health sector, where people that are in power, people that are in positions can be able to take their healthcare in Nigeria, then we have not done anything good, because we have always said that they are there as our leaders. They prepare this soup for which they want us to eat. They should also be able to eat from the same place. The same thing we talk about our educational system, that they should be able to have a system that their children will school here. Look at what they are sounding from the House of Reps yesterday, that the unity schools across the country should be made isolation centers. That is wrong. China built 1,000 bed hospitals in 10 days, they said. Why is it that Nigeria have not been able to set up those centers? We've been in this now. It's called COVID-19, meaning that it's coronavirus disease that started in 2019. This is 2020, third month. Nigeria is aware of this. Why haven't we have 6 geopolitical zones in the country? We can set up hospitals and isolation centers in each of these zones to take care of this center.
Hold on. I'm not sure that we're saying we can't. We're saying we can, but we don't do it because we don't do it.
They need to do it. That's what we are.
That's why I said, where is the push coming from? The leaders will not do it because they're looking at that money you've budgeted for these buildings and the equipment of these buildings, and they're thinking, look, I don't want to spend all of this here. I want to take 50% off this money and do this for this business I have running in Ireland, or I want to use it and save it for my great-great-great-grandchildren. So I don't want to spend this money here. And you don't have a system that will checkmate and make sure that they do indeed deliver these things for the people of Nigeria. So they're able to manipulate their way and not deliver this. And yet, here we are. So we're asking, if we the people cannot push them to provide these things that we think we dearly need, what other options are available?
We need to be able to push, because there is something that is coming that people have not really noticed.
Right,
it's like we are at
what's coming?
What is coming is hunger. A lot of Nigerians that have been locked down. Moments from now, Nigeria is going to announce total lockdown in the country. Mm-hmm. People will remain in their houses. People need food to eat. When that hunger comes, you will see that people in authority will not be able to sit down on that seat again. Because the people will come out in their numbers. They are now being locked down. They are hungry. They need food to eat. They need medical care. They need things to keep them alive. You will begin to see higher demand on the system. So I think the citizens should sit up and make demands on the system for things to be right.
All right. I like that positive push.
And it takes more than activism to make a system work. And as a university undergraduate, I could say that no, when we do Shugbe, things would change. But in my years of activism, we have changed nothing. And I want to tell you, we cannot change the way this system is administered from the way the system is structured. You cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. It must surely fail. There is no basis, there is no platform for Nigeria to work because of the way it is currently structured. You have 36 emperors as governors of the states, and you have a lord as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These people are out of touch with reality. If you are hungry, how do you access the Governor Wiki? Where do you move? How many of you can access Governor Wiki? Or how many of us can get to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and say we're hungry? Things don't work like that in Nigeria. They have a battalion of policemen waiting outside. How do you cross that battalion to get to them? They have money within their reach. They can break your ranks. If you're working with your younger brother, they can buy your younger brother to say something that's different from what you're saying the next day. It takes more than activism.
But then, yet, the writer says Nigerians are resilient.
Yes, wonderful. Nigerians that are average Nigerians who couldn't pass medical exams in Uniport, will go to Ukraine and become medical doctors and be best doctors in the streets of London.
So why that resilience is not replicable?
No, the problem is here. It's like a muddy ground. The harder you struggle, the deeper you sink. Because the background for success is not there.
Let me give you an example.
All right, you can do that in just
Professor Wole Soyinka, the result he got in Nigeria wasn't the best of it. He went abroad and made the best. Gani Fawemi, the same thing. He went abroad and made the best. That is the resilience. It's not that everything is crumbling on Nigerians' here, and they'll keep on going, trudging, making sure they succeed. Whether they are succeeding or not, they keep on afloat. But take them to where everything is what it should be. They will excel.
All right. The news update comes up next. We'll continue the conversation when we come back after the top of the hour. Just stay with us.
Never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Every day, every hour. When the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today 95.1 FM. Port Harcourt. News update.
Hello and good morning. Here's the news update on Today 95.1 FM. I am Annie Abdul Salam. 2 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Nigeria, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. One additional case was found in Lagos State, while another was discovered in Osun State. A statement by the NCDC reveals that both cases are travelers who returned to Nigeria in the last 7 days. There are now 46 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Osibajo is currently in self-quarantine amid the spread of the new coronavirus in the country. This is according to his spokesman, Laolu Okonde, who in a tweet said the Vice President has been conducting his meetings via video conferencing while observing social distance. He said the self-isolation is in accordance with NCDC protocols. Okonde's tweet comes after it emerged that the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, has tested positive for the coronavirus. In the meantime, the presidency has reduced the number of journalists covering activities at the presidential villa. The action, according to a circular signed by the Deputy Director of Information, Ataisa, on behalf of the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, was to help maintain social distancing. The circular advised those who were not represented in the list to liaise with those listed for necessary information and news, as well as the information officers in the President's media office during the interim arrangement. River State government has ordered the closure of the popular oil mill market. The government, in the directive, said it will arrest anyone who is found trading in the market. The closure is part of measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus in the state. And on to the foreign scene, there is a panic buying in South Africa as people stock up on food and other essentials ahead of a lockdown tomorrow. The country has the largest number of confirmed coronavirus cases on the continent, with 554 cases recorded. The number of new infections and deaths is rising fast across Africa in spite of lockdowns, curfews, and travel bans. France says it will send special aid to the most vulnerable countries, many of which are in Africa. And with that, we wrap up on the news update here on Today 95.1 FM.
Is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people. Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Radio has never been this good. Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Have you heard that coronavirus has been confirmed in Nigeria?
My brother, don't panic. The Federal Ministry of Health and Nigeria Center for Disease Control have advised that everyone should do the following to stay safe.
Tell me.
Wash your hands regularly with soap under running water. Use hand sanitizer if there is no water. Cover mouth with bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose the used tissue and wash your hands immediately. Avoid touching eyes, nose, mouth with unwashed hands. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces such as door locks, tables, and chairs. Avoid close contact with sick persons or anybody coughing or sneezing.
Please, Mary, what are the symptoms of coronavirus?
Any person infected with coronavirus can have fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, and shortness of breath.
Don't panic. Coronavirus is preventable. If you have traveled to any country with reported local or community transmission, stay indoors and away from people for 14 days. If you develop any of the symptoms mentioned above, call the Nigeria Center for Disease Control NCDC toll-free line 0800-97000010. Share information about coronavirus only from verified sources like the Federal Ministry of Health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, and the World Health Organization WHO. This message is from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control NCDC, the Federal Ministry of Health, and partners.
Radio has never been this good. Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
And I have with me Pastor Favor, and he was here some time back. He spoke to us about 3D and 5D, right?
Yeah.
Graphic design.
Yeah.
And it got a lot of us really interested. And he says, you know what? I noticed you all were so interested about this. We did our first session and we availed the opportunity to the people of Port Harcourt and its surroundings again. Let me come and introduce this one more time. Pastor Favor, good to see you. Good to have you here in the studio.
Good to see you, Madam Annie. We thank God for the last time we were here. And we call on our people to come for a free training that have to do with the 21st century interior and exterior decoration. And the people responded. You know, I'm representing F&M Paradise Image Concepts. We train people and we install this 21st century interior decoration such as 3D epoxy graphic floor, 3D reflective floor, 3D stretch ceiling, 3D flake floor, 3D wall panel, 3D stamped concrete. We also install 3D, 5D, 8D wallpapers.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Right now we have introduced 3D paint production. So we'll be training people on how to produce paint. Variety
3D
of it.
3D paint?
Yes, variety of it, high quality paints with different styles of carrying out those paints on the wall, with professional touch. Right now we are also going to have another training. For those of you who are listening to us, maybe within Port Harcourt and outside Port Harcourt, please do well to write this number down now. 080 33 64 66 87. I take the number again. 080 33 64 66 87. Now we are in collaboration with the Living Faith Church. That's Living Faith Church, aka Winners Chapel International, Rumola branch. Living Faith Church. That's our venue, and we are in collaboration together. So please, for those of you who live around Port Harcourt, even though you are coming outside Port Harcourt, we are going to give you a hotel accommodation. For those of you who are coming from Asaba, Delta, and wherever you're living around South. So there's a provision for you. So the date is 26th to 28th March. That will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, next week. Please write the date down. So we are teaching you all of this. Remember, we are going to teach you on paint production. So, however, please do well to come, be part of this training, learn the best way to have a befitting environment, well decorated, beautifying your environment with the latest 21st century interior and exterior decoration. However, you have your benefits with us. We have so many benefits to give to you. 1 year mentorship after your training. We're also going to give you a certificate. We're also giving you our step-by-step manual. Very amazing, very comprehensive. And our fee, that though it's supposed to be a free one also, but then because of the chemicals that are involved, and then the certificate that will be issued to you is a registered one, and then the 1 year free mentorship. So you'll be paying for those of you who be, coming to learn the 3D epoxy graphic floor, have to use the latest interior decoration on the floor, on the wall, even on the ceiling, So you'll be paying 21,000 only. But then those who are coming for the paint production, you'll be paying 11,000 only. 11,000. So if you're interested, please do well to call on us. 080 33 64 66 87. I take the number again. 080 33 64 66 87. Now the venue is Living Faith Church. Living Faith Church, aka Winners Chapel International. Winners Chapel International. It's opposite Everyday Supermarket. Everyday Supermarket, Rumala. You can never miss it. So please do well to call on us. The number again is 080 33 64 66 87. I also want to use this opportunity to call on all the people around us. All the people around us, whether Abia, Imo, wherever you're hearing us from, please do well to come. Accommodation will be made for you. A hotel accommodation will be made for you. But you need to call on this number, 080 33 64 66 87. Again, I want to volunteer to decorate the government house, River State Government House. I don't mind, giving a free decoration there to have the local government, all the local government inside the map. That is 23 local governments of River State on the floor of the Hallowed Chamber. That's the House of Assembly complex.
Right.
All the floor, we're going to use the map of River State to decorate the floor, and then the coat of arms on the wall, on the ceiling as well. This will be a volunteer service to our government. So if the government officials are hearing me, particularly our amiable governor, I know I have people who listen to radios and activities that goes on around the environment. So please call on us 080-33-64-6687. Also, we are also ready to partner with all the local government chairmen in River State currently serving right now to give us their youth to train free, because we want to change the narrative that some youth in River State are not ready to work because of oil company. This time I'm an indigenous of River State, and I can tell you it's good to have a skill. Certificate is good, but I bet you that skill is the best.
Places. All right, share your number one more time.
One more time, my number is 080-33-64-6687. Finally, I also want to call all the pastors around who think that tent making is out of place as a full-time pastor. But because of God, I serve with the Redeemed Christian Church of God. I tell you, this work have taken me to places, and I'm ready to impart on more people. So please, if you're hearing me as a church
they
pastor,
will definitely call you Pastor
please
Favor.
call me once again. 080-33-64-6687.
Thank you very much.
I'm waiting for you now. The Lord bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
95.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back.
Peace is a situation where there is no war or violence in a society. Peace allows wealth to accumulate and the society to advance.
Through peace, generations of wealth, education, technology can build up, thereby making people very prosperous and happy.
Without peace, there will be violence, war, and underdevelopment in our society. The most disadvantageous peace is far better than the most just war. Let us embrace peace for a better society.
This message is brought to you by your premium talk radio, Today 95.1 FM.
It's what I pray for. All around the world. It's what I pray for. For my
Opinion poll on today's quest.
More than 3 over 4 of the loots we are talking about in this country today were loots within the 16 years.
Here is a great opportunity to sample all our opinions on the issues raised.
Amin Potakat says the PDP is trying to divert our attention because Nigerian funds was looted by the PDP. Melody in Uniport says Madam Jonah is yet to come in terms of the fact that her tenure has expired. Annie, please tell him that investigation is not what you make public until the final stage.
Send your opinion to us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Today 95.1 FM, or on Twitter @TodayFM951. You can also sample your opinions with us on WhatsApp or on our SMS portal using the numbers 070-1933-9962. So it's 14 minutes after 10, and you are still listening to Today 95.1 FM. Today's quest is the program on. The segment is Opinion Pool. And this is our second opinion for the day. We have moved on from coronavirus as the springboard for rebirth to this other story, still within the Vanguard newspaper. Buhari expresses grief over killing of 47 by Boko Haram. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed profound grief and sorrow over the loss of soldiers who were ambushed by terrorists in Koji village in Yobe State. About 47 soldiers, according to the military authorities, lost their lives as a result of the ambush. The president, in a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, last night said sacrifices of our gallant patriots cannot be quantified and their sacrifices cannot go in vain, while commiserating with the families and those that sustained injuries. According to the statement, the death of every soldier causes deep pains because he knows what it means to be a soldier and fully understands the extreme risks associated with the profession. President Buhari said, and I quote, "Despite the tragedies and incidents, we cannot allow anarchists and mass murderers to hold the country hostage," end of quote. He appealed to the military to not allow the incident to affect their morale, assuring that his administration will continue to motivate and equip them adequately in order to cope with the complex challenges of unconventional warfare. The statement said that the Nigerian army, had dispatched a team to assess the situation and report back to the government. We went through this earlier, and we're positing the fact that it seems to be one too many messages of commiseration, and we were wondering when this will stop, or at least when we begin to have fewer messages of commiseration, and when will we finally get perhaps the president to be in the front line of this event, and it is not his spokesperson or is not a rep, especially when it involves the death of Nigerians. I'm looking at this from the fact that when we began to see the different incidents of coronavirus ravaging us here in Nigeria, there was a demand from the people to have the president to speak to Nigerians. You had lots of Nigerians who were clamoring for that, who said, speak to us. And I think this is what happens in any situation where there's chaos, where there's confusion, there is need for direction. And usually the people will look onto their leader as to which way do we go. And for a long period, it seemed the president was quiet on that, in assuaging their fears, in igniting hope in the hearts of Nigerians when coronavirus made or birthed here in Nigeria. Same, I think, for me, is what I feel when he doesn't address this issue of death by himself, and he has a spokesperson to do that for him yet again. I don't see anything that should stop him from addressing Nigerians, get the cameras ready, and speak to Nigerians at this moment, especially for soldiers who we know that have been dedicated in fighting this, whether they're poorly equipped or whether amongst themselves they're sabotaging it. But at least that is their duty. This is what they're supposed to do. And they have been counting losses, and yet there are so many who have been deployed to that area almost every day. I thought that this was one of the unique opportunities he had, where he could have faced the people and faced the soldiers squarely. If he cannot have been at Yobe on ground zero, obviously not, but at least he would have spoken to them and had communicated to them as from a former soldier, an ex-soldier to another soldier now, and letting them understand that regardless what's going on, that he's always going to be by their side. I didn't see that. And to get another read from Garba Shehu through a tweet again just didn't do it. So in the case of this craze that we have, and funny enough, yesterday we talked about the crisis Nigeria is facing and how unfortunate for us. Ours is three-pronged. We're going through a crisis in the healthcare, we're going through a crisis in security, and we're going through a crisis in our economy. And it's such a terrible time to be a Nigerian and to be in Nigeria. But here we are. And then you expect that the leader too is at the helms of affairs and taking the lead in all of this. The COVID-19 presidential team is headed by Boss Mustafa. It's not the president. There's several other things that you felt you'd take the lead in, and he has not. what does this give us any sense of leadership? Because this has allowed so many people to speculate on several things. He's not stepping up to do this, Emmanuel. Does that diminish his powers or his office in any manner?
Yes and no. But I take to yes, and I'll explain the no. The issue is that I think I have always been having a running battle with Nigeria in terms of leadership failure. Well, you ask a question, when will this ever end? Because of the brand of warfare we are in, it will end. Perhaps if ever Boko Haram ends. Even not only President Buhari. There may be somebody that will come and may be facing the whole thing, doing the right thing by in case there's anything, he will even go there. But not certainly all of them. But where he cannot be present himself, he will speak by himself because he was the one elected by the people as the president. But people make do with what they have. Our president is a personality that does not, perhaps when you need him to act, he will just ignore you. Perhaps he's not, I can't say he's not hearing, he's hearing. I differ from what my friend Fine Face said that he may not have information on this and that. No. If he is representing the office of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he has every information available. What Fine Face said was going to, in fact, support what he said himself, that he was shocked to learn about how far whether banditry or whatever had permeated Nigeria. But I tell you, this particular issue that when something happens, the president will allow his men, whether they tell him or they don't tell him, to represent him, is not making people happy. Let me just end it at that. He's not making people happy because, like I said, it was Muhammadu Buhari that was elected as the president, not Garba Shehu. But when you now you see, there are things to be delegated, and there are things you will not delegate. Take, for instance, this kind of death, 47 soldiers. And remember that people have been nudging him, change the service chiefs. This is not to say that there is somebody that will be there and there will be no loss of life for soldiers. But at least anything at all that goes wrong will be started to. The president is not listening now. Who knows that some other person would have done it well. Some other person would have done an undercover investigation to know that this could happen here and there. But because he doesn't want to listen and he returns the service chiefs, let us be seeing all these mishaps here and there. But I tell you, the brand of warfare, asymmetrical warfare, is such that it's hit and run. Hit and run, I tell you. Look at what happened. If it is Boko Haram that fired at the explosives and all that, you wouldn't have known they were coming. I don't know. They understand this more than myself. If there are Nigerians that are doing undercover reporting for the military, they will be knowing exactly certain things that may happen along the line of what happened now. But as for the president, why I say no is that one may be comfortable delegating. And if those who are delegated are doing the right job, because there's also my thought that I think Garba Shehu is always quick, very quick to come out, making one suspect that perhaps he's just reacting to impulse of saying, okay, this thing has happened, let me just sympathize with the people on behalf of the president. But I want to believe that president at least let her hear. And if he understands the position he occupies, if that is what Garba Shehu is doing, he would have stopped him.
All right. Okay. What are your thoughts there? Fine Face in a minute.
Yes, this matter is something that has many angles. I don't really know the angle to start it from, but let me begin from here. We've been in this country when people within the inner cabinet of the president have said the president is not in charge. We've also been in this country when we heard about certain comments that certain persons have infiltrated the government. We've also been in this country to hear when the president himself said his doctor said he should work less, not to stress himself more. But then, in all this, that you have appointed media aides does not mean you will not talk again. That is what people don't understand about leadership. Their jobs as media aid is to attend to some other issues that are not very critical and to manage information about what you have said as the commander-in-chief. Because one soldier, the life of one soldier, like the life of every one Nigerian, is supposed to be very, very important to the president, who is the commander-in-chief. Now, this kind of thing happened. What they declare to us is 47 soldiers. It could be more than that. It could be more than that, possibly more than that. We've been in this country when millions of dollars are spent on the purchase of aircraft that are supposed to support the ground troop. We've also been in this country when they talked about the fact that they have some drones, even made in Nigerian drones that they have made. Where are those drones? That this kind of massacre of our soldiers will happen and we don't even have any challenge to the people that have done this. They came, did it, and they go, if that is the case. And you now see another twist in the whole communication, whereby the army is trying to say that it was the weaponry that they were carrying and ammo and this that they shot into and it exploded and they died, meaning that it's trying to absorb Boko Haram of the action so that the army is not seen as maybe being weak, not being able to do something when they attack them. And because the soldiers are all killed and they will not be there to speak for themselves. We are in a system whereby they have designed in such a way that it will continue. Because I've said the war against Boko Haram is like an oil company now. People don't want it to end because people are making money from that process. Presidential communication should not be denied the people because you have appointed aides. We also said the same thing last year when we were talking about, the Democracy Day speech and the December Independence Day speech and what have you. You still that speech till today. The president should be able to come out and speak on certain issues. Now, these 47 soldiers that are all dead, they are of families, they come from families, they have children, they have wives, and they have relatives. They need to hear. By this morning, if the president were to be serious, no matter how we are talking about social distancing, should have been able to at least meet with some of those families, console them, and talk to them on what they need to do. So the president should not, because he has appointed media aides, he stops talking to Nigerians. We elected him, and we want him to take charge of his government. We should feel that flavor, that strength that we have a commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, got your thoughts too on that. Let me get to Dr. Arago.
It's indicting, self-indicting in itself for the general to even make that comment. If you are carrying those kind of sensitive military hardware from one place to the other, why was there no air cover for the military? For the general to even say that. And that we lost 48 soldiers in one operation of Boko Haram. There was a time we heard that the Minister of Communication said that Boko Haram has technically been defeated. It's not true. The kind of daring operations of Boko Haram shows that they have the capacity to inflict maximum damage on the Nigerian army. This is not a soft target. This is a military, the movement of...
This is hard target.
Yes, this is not... No. Because they say Boko Haram is going after soft target and all of that. These are soldiers that are conveying military hardware from one camp to the other. And you're telling me that Boko Haram came, took aim and shot at it and then it exploded. That means you were not prepared. It's an indictment in itself. I just prayed. One of the reasons why I think most of the persons thought that things would change when Buhari will come in the way they're managing this Boko Haram warfare, is that with his military experience, we'll be able to bring in something new. But I can tell you, apart from the fact that there has not been any bomb in Plateau or Abuja, nothing has changed. Boko Haram is still formidable as it is. And we just pray that, just like my brother said, that it's like an oil company for some persons. I just hope that some of these persons who are actually in charge of the warfare, because I know that as we talk now, the president is already in quarantine already. And so I'm not sure. I will agree with you if he's aware of some of these things. But if he is, that we lost 48 soldiers. American army lost 2 soldiers in Afghanistan. The president of the United States went to the airport to pick the 2 corpses that arrived. We lost 48 soldiers. The president is meant to go and address the army, even if it is through a video call, and show up their morale. Because, listen, it is not weapons that fight war. Individuals fight this war.
All right, what are your thoughts on that? Dr. Sado?
Annie,
Honestly speaking, what?
you know, there are times that I just think about this country as a very big joke. A very big joke. If you have an operation where bandits take out 47 soldiers, it's a national tragedy.
One fell swoop.
It's a national tragedy.
Indeed.
It is.
It is.
It is.
It's not in the case of Nigeria. If it were, the president
will not be tweeting.
Yeah, the president will respond. The president will react. Everywhere you go, once you don't have, I mean, you're talking. It's not just in the army. You made mention of the leader, the leader of the COVID-19 team.
Presidential team.
I think it's Boss Mustafa.
It's
right?
Boss Mustafa, yes, the SSG.
He's a medical doctor, right?
No, Boss Mustafa is the lawyer.
He's not.
He must be a medical doctor.
No, he's not.
He's not.
Okay.
Boss
No, but
Mustafa.
it's the presidential.
I'm coming. Just a minute.
It's the presidential team, so he doesn't need to.
No, it's not about presidential team. There's a political leadership, and there is a scientific or professional leadership.
Yeah.
So in political leadership, Boss Mustafa cannot be. If you look scientifically, he cannot be. Any way you look at it, it's not. It's only in a country, a joke like this country, that somebody like that will pretend. It's all about pretense. Will pretend to be the leader when we have a leader we have elected. I think that very soon.
But in America, the vice president is the head of the leadership of
the vice president is an extension of the president.
So why is Osibanjo not the leader?
No, he's the extension of the president.
In that's what I'm just trying to say. In this case, then you'd have expected an Osibanjo,
You,
right?
that's the right thing to do.
Okay.
That's the right thing to do. So when you have people who do not understand what governance is, what we do here is just a set of people coming together to provide food on their table. A country where the military. How many Boko Haram soldiers do you have that has held this country hostage for over 10 years? And in one attack, they take out 47. If Nigerian army take out 47 of Boko Haram in every attack, in the number of years they have done it, you will have known how many of them will have been taken out. So the president has actually not taken responsibility for this nation. He hasn't. I think they have outsourced portions of governance. He has outsourced portions of them. Some of them to Boss Mustafa, the other one to the man Kiari, the other one to maybe the man in Kaduna. There are a number of persons they have outsourced governance to. So we should live with this form of governance. But for the president not to take responsibility as a soldier, he doesn't even have to be a professional soldier. As the leader, the president of the country is the commander-in-chief. So at that level, it is assumed that these soldiers report directly to you, but through the field officers. And something happens to them, you just take it as one of the things that perhaps, you say recruit more soldiers. It will get to a point where it will be difficult to recruit people to serve in the army. Because apart from this now, many of these families are also going to tell stories of woe, of what they will be going through, whatever they are due when they lose their lives, where the families that the bereaved family will not get most of the things, and it will continue. So I don't think that we actually have leadership in this country. I'm sorry to say this. We have a president, but presidency does not translate to
leadership.
So I don't think we have leadership. Whether we have offices occupied by individuals, there's no doubt about it. But I don't think we had leadership in this country.
All right. Okay. In the face of this here now, because like I said, when there's chaos, when there's issues like this, people, scamper for any source of hope. And you expect that that's what your leader will give or ignite in you. Are we saying here now that we don't have anybody to restore hope for us?
Yeah, maybe not in this administration. Maybe. Perhaps in any administration. But until that one comes on board, we may also not be able to assess him very correctly. So, but at least for now, because this thing did not start today, the maybe negligence of whatever ought to be taken seriously. The president will keep quiet about it. And perhaps after a long time, if ever he deems that as something he should comment on, he will comment on sideline. You see, I don't think that is one problem that is dragging. And you'll be asking questions, what is going on this and that? Don't we have a president who is supposed to put the nation on clear fans that, look at how these things are going. But he won't talk. So, in this administration, certainly, except they will change tomorrow. I think it remains.
My point here is that we want to hear from him, right? What are his thoughts on that? This is what is supposed to help stir a feeling of hope or confidence. But he has hope. But he does send that message, albeit through his aides.
Good.
What downplays the strength in that?
Annie, I have said that, when something becomes routine, it's like normal when it's abnormal in reality. And now you saw when something happened. I can't remember this place that Boko Haram also killed people that were on lockdown because the army has locked the road to Maiduguri.
Yes,
and then
the
president came from somewhere, either abroad, and went to Maiduguri. That was the rare cases. If you remember that, tell me how even the professor Zulum, the governor of Borno, said how he will feel. And the people from that side, they will say that we have a president who cares. But that is one in a million. And so, allowing Garba Shehu to do the presidential job, people will start asking.
Tweet, remember, it's not that. I guess
no. Whether tweet or not, is Trump of America not a president? Doesn't he tweet? I don't understand. The whole thing is just, like I have said, for Emmanuel Ndukwe, maybe not in this administration, but until the other one that will do it, if ever another one will do it comes, we may not be able to assess that one authoritatively.
Annie?
Yes, fine.
Now, this issue of this issue of lack of communication or speaking on topical national issue by the president is something that is really worrisome, because even this COVID-19 pandemic we are facing, I think we've been complaining that the president has not addressed the country.
He finally did.
When he was setting up the committee, it was when
when he
was setting up the committee, he now spoke. Now, if you look at other climes, you will see that people are getting to hear from their president. They're like in Rivers State, we've had a kind of good deal. Somehow the governor had addressed the state about twice now. And the council chairmen are also taking steps to set up committees to work on some of these issues. Steps have been taken, but those things need to be concretely done. At the center, they are also making effort, but the president needs to really be up and doing here.
In the center of all of this.
But he's at the center of all of this. But the most unfortunate aspect of it now is that he has gone into self-quarantine, which means that he cannot even, even come out by
himself.
He can walk from
like
there.
they said, Osibanjo was still having meetings yesterday.
Yeah, despite that, yeah. So I think he needs to do something. We need him now most, like never before, because he's the leader of the country and we need to know the direction we are going, things that are lacking, effort and steps that his government is putting in place to address those issues. We need to all see and have all this on the table. It will give the citizenry a kind of sense of direction, and the fact that the government remembers them and they are not in this alone haven't voted for a government that should stand for them to protect their lives and properties.
All right then. Okay, so I guess bottom line, we're saying we need to feel the presence of the government, and that can only be felt directly if the president decides to steer and lead these things using proxies. Who, yes, he has the protection of the, shall I say, the Constitution to employ, but doesn't mean that they take over some of the actions we need him to do directly.
No, because Garba Shehu was not elected as the president.
Yeah, but he's speaking. The president said, I need you to speak for me.
Yeah.
And that's why I have you as a special.
No, I understand, but I know that there are things that aides should do, and there are ones that aides should not do. In other words, you can delegate certain things, and you can't delegate certain things. Certain things are required.
So this high level presidential coordination committee that is chaired by Boss Mustafa ought to have been chaired by the president, right?
For me, yes, or the vice president.
Okay, good. So now that it's not any of them, does that mean that they will not do what they need to do?
Well, that one you're asking. But I tell you, see, now that
it's blazing. I think it's just messing blazing. Let us show these people that we care for them. Set up a committee and call it a high-powered presidential committee.
Mm-hmm.
A high-powered presidential committee actually means nothing until you begin to show that you have ventilators, until you begin to show that you have kits.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Until
at the end, it's the results that matters, right?
Yeah, the result matters, but who drives that result is also
that's what I'm
important.
saying.
Just a minute, Annie.
Yeah.
Do you know how important it will be, even as you say the president is on what is it called again? Self-isolation, and that self-isolation doesn't mean that we can't see him.
No, it doesn't.
On the screen.
No.
Now, do you know how inspiring it will be that people can still see the president, even the man, assuming he was the one they said is positive, and we see him on screen still doing things? It will inspire a lot of courage in the people when they also find themselves in that. Say, no, the president, I can see somebody who has it, who is surviving. That was how we started to break the issue of HIV/AIDS. So who drives it is important, not just for that, because there are things that the president spontaneously can take decisions on. But this man must have to go back to say, look, this is what is happening. What do we do? And all that. We are in a state of national crisis.
So in that,
the president must be the one to lead.
Is that we need something that is actionable.
Yes.
And the president brings that degree to a committee.
Exactly.
So it's not a process of I need to report.
Yeah.
And get a feedback.
Exactly.
Actionable committee set up by the president is what we need. Not Garba Shehu, not Boss Mustafa in these times.
We need scientists.
I don't think that before the end of the day, Garba Shehu will not tweet something on behalf of the. I'm almost so.
No, but
sure.
he speaks for the president.
That's what I'm saying. I'm very sure he's still going to tweet something in that.
What do speakers do? They speak. If somebody is your speaker, your mouthpiece, it should actually be mouthpiece. That's what he's paid to do. But
not, he loses his job.
But there are things your mouthpiece cannot do for you.
The mouthpiece.
My mouthpiece cannot speak for me about my
The
wife.
only thing that is speaking here now is your mouth. Your ear cannot speak.
If I have an assistant,
Garba is that
you
mouth.
cannot discuss domestic issues concerning me and my wife. There are things the presidential mouthpiece cannot talk about.
But when you want to speak, ultimately it's the mouth.
When you take 47 soldiers from the Nigerian army by a rickety Boko Haram.
No, I think we don't understand the concept of mouthpiece. The concept of mouthpiece is that the mouth is the only thing that can speak for the entire body. If I have problem with my arm now and it's paining me, the mouth will speak.
Okay.
Garba Shehu symbolizes the mouth of the president. And
he has spoken.
Yeah, so
I don't get your point.
It's 44 minutes after 10. We'll take a break and we'll come back with a real talk. Please stay with us.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Serving you the latest gist in town. Ready? Drum roll. The heat is on. Naija Noodles Ultimate Search is here. Are you ready to be the next superstar? Then the journey is on in search for 28 housemates for the first Ultimate Search winner. Are you ready to play? To participate, log on to www.noodlescookingquest.com
or pay into GT account number 0130765340. Account name Media Corp. Present your bank teller to pick up your forms at Today FM, Today Drive off East West Road before UPTH, Port Harcourt, River State. For more information, call
0818-389-2850.
Registration form is 2,500 naira only.
and stand a chance to win fantastic prizes. Winner goes home with 1 million naira plus a year ambassador for a brand worth 25 million naira. Second prize goes home with 500,000 naira. Third prize 300,000 naira. Wow! Date is June to August 2020. Additions will hold at Uyo, Calabar,
Port Harcourt,
Lagos, Edo, Delta, Anambra, Abuja, Kaduna, Katsina, Oyo, and Benue. It's time to cook. Let's eat and play and win.
Proudly sponsored by Indomie Noodles, official media partner.
Today FM 95.1, Port Harcourt.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Real talk.
Real talk.
But
It is the head that is supposed to push the followers.
Today, 95.1 FM, we bring you insights, intrigues, and happenings on the local politics of the Niger Delta.
But if that property you have somewhere worth that 1 billion is tied to a fraud of state money, if you can prove it's your personal money, you didn't commit any crime.
Join us every weekday, 9:45 a.m. to 11 a.m. Real talk. Keeping it real.
All right, 48 minutes gone past 10. You're still listening to your premium talk news and sports station Today 95.1 FM. Earlier, we did speak about one of the initiatives the River State government is taking in curtailing the spread of COVID-19, and that was the closure of the popular oil mill market. The government, in its directive, said it will arrest anyone found trading in the market. Now, this is coming at the heels where Lagos, as of tomorrow, is on a complete shutdown. Lagos goes into complete shutdown from Thursday, the 26th of March. And that means markets and everything else will be closed in Lagos. I think what we're having here is just, we're taking it bit by bit as per River State now. We're taking it bit by bit and seeing what we can push. Schools have been closed, cinemas have been closed, parks are closed. There's a drive to ensure that you don't have 100% capacity in public transportation across the state. I don't know how that will work, but this is what they say they will do. I don't know how that, but but then you have the closure of the popular oil mill market. And I can just begin to imagine that if the market is closed, they might move to closing other markets too. And if that happens, Manuel, most of the time when we speak about this, we said, what happens to people who need to survive daily when we have a complete shutdown? Now, I'm going to look at it in a smaller term. I'm not looking at a complete shutdown in Nigeria, but a complete shutdown here in Rivers State. Will that be obtainable? There are too many people who feed daily. They have to make money that day in order to survive. What happens to this category of people if this is where we head to? River State.
Yes, we had already in our previous program said that you see this lockdown that we don't have the capacity. I tell you, if such happens that markets are stopped in this, the oil mill can be stopped. Yes, because it's more like international market that has a day. It's not every day. So when you ban activities pending the end of COVID-19, it's doable, it's possible, and much people won't have such problem. But I doubt if you do that kind of thing in Ariaba, for instance, there will be problem. Now, in River State, I also not see the possibility of coming to Rumosi Market and say, no, I ban Rumosi Market, I ban Kini Market, all such things going around. But you see, the big markets may be able to be put on hold. And the people will suffer, people will reel, people will totter because of the after effect of that. Because I tell you, do you know that there are some people that must, maybe if it's vegetable or whatever, they must attend that market to sell so as to get something to eat for a day. Because just like when I heard whether Minister of Women Affairs said that women should stock up. It was like I should kill myself.
Why?
Stock up with what?
But some can stock up.
Thank you, some. Maybe.
So she's referring to
minister for those people. Women should stock up. Talk about the citizens of this country.
Those who can stock up, Emmanuel, are citizens.
You see?
They're not foreigners. They are citizens.
No, it's just like a people child that is tested positive is everywhere. If it happens to any other person. So, for me, if there's this kind of lockdown and markets are also included, there will be serious crisis. Because it's not only stopping the sickness, so when you stop the sickness and hunger itself start ravaging people to death, I don't know how it can be handled.
So you don't think this is a complete lockdown is possible in River State?
It's not all that possible.
But even in Lagos, the lockdown is not absolute. It's not complete.
It can be possible.
The
like
lockdown,
those
the
for
people
essential
selling necessaries, food and all of that can continue with what they're doing.
And there's also nobody who says that if you go and touch somebody selling yam, you won't also go in the world of COVID. But I tell you, hunger will show its red eye.
Fine, in a minute. Let me get to you.
Yes, it's a welcome development that the government of Rivers State has ordered the closure of the popular oil mill market, which is the most populous market that holds in Rivers State weekly. But the question is that when did the Rivers State government give this information for the market to be closed down?
Yesterday?
It was yesterday. And OMA says a day to yesterday. The people that really want to do business in OMA, they have arrived with their goods yesterday, already on ground, before you make the announcement. Rivers State should learn from Lagos. Lagos gives a minimum of 3 days notice for every action to be taken. Now, if you get to OMA now, where we have not been to, but we'll get the report later today, you will see how security operatives...
You pass through there.
Yeah, when you talk, you will let us know. You will see how security operatives are clamping down on the port traders in that market. As at 6 a.m. news this morning on a sister radio station, I also heard some of them saying that they never knew that the market was to be shut down. And these are people that live from hand to mouth. And you just announce shutting down in the confront of government house and government facility, and you expect the poor people that have suffered to pass through. Government must think strategically.
Yes.
Think ahead of time. Put things in place. Be able to strategize and not let your actions to serve as a punitive measures on the people. Now, if you have the intention of shutting down OMA market, that would have been announced since Friday last week. that by Wednesday this week, you will have that market shut down. Sensitization will begin. Letting people to understand, people may say jingles will begin to go on, don't come to OMA. Then you start making sure that people don't come to the market. Not to wait for people to arrive and then you make that comment. So I will say that having made that comment which won't or can't be withdrawn again, the security operatives or the task force on illegal market and all those that will be involved in ensuring that this directive is complied with should be lenient on the people today because they never knew this was going to happen. So that we don't have a situation whereby the rights of the people will be violated over information that they never knew about.
Right.
I know that there are actions that they can take now and the people will begin to shout. So I believe they should be lenient on the people today.
So do you think though then that we can have a complete shutdown here in River State? Is this a possibility?
Yes, we cannot have a total shutdown, but we can have a partial shutdown. Yeah. And the shutdown will come in this way. The moment government gives announcement, that announcement should be given at least 1 week to the date it should take effect. People will begin to prepare themselves on how to stay indoors. And then the shutdown should mean that all those other essential areas it's not only like the oil market, for instance, we also have this other Creek Road market, we have my 1 market, we have my 3 market. These are popular markets that are there. Even Rumokoro has a bigger market too. So you begin to see people struggle on their own to stock food in their houses, prepare not to go out and what have you. So we can have that. Yesterday, I passed through even a private school that decided to open even when government have asked them to shut down. I don't want to mention any more of that, but I believe that they should take that instruction because that was given ahead of time. So, but I think that we can have a shutdown in such a way that when the information go out, people will prepare to stay indoors, except where you are going to is absolutely necessary. Then you can move. But I believe that if people get information that they should stay at home, the number of people on the streets will reduce.
All right, let me get to you now.
I want to I want to commend the proactiveness of the government of River State, the way they've shut down schools in River State, how they've managed to do that. We want to congratulate the government. But can the shutdown be absolute, total? No, it's not possible. There's no way you can shut down the entire system. People who are rendering essential services, doctors should be allowed to move. Security operatives should be allowed to do their work. People who are selling gari and fufu and okro on the streets should be allowed in the markets, should be allowed to do that. Because these are things you need to pick up on a daily basis. It cannot be total shutdown. And the position for a total shutdown has not yet arisen. We've not got to that point. We are yet to have a case in Port Harcourt. If the statistics are right, that's what we can rely on. Government is proactive. Government is on the right track. They're doing the right thing. The way and manner the famous oil mill market was shut down, I was on the news late in the night when I saw the message from government. And I know that the Igbo boys that will bring wares would have already arrived with their products. That would cause a lot of hardship to people. But in difficult times, it is only the interests of the state that is what higher. We needed to stop that market because a lot of people were going to bring in things from afar off. And if you don't close that market, if you allow people gather, we will import what we don't have now. Let us continue to try. Okay. Let us all help government to make this thing work.
All right, got your thoughts on that, and then I'll move on now to Dr. Sado.
Yeah, I think that it's right that shutdown is okay if you give people information ahead of time. But I also don't believe that absolute shutdown is impossible. I was speaking with somebody yesterday, and I said, I wish I would be proved wrong. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
But my fear is that the next, as at yesterday, I was saying 14 days. The next 13 days will show us that we're actually in a state of war. When you're in a state of war, there are certain rights you don't talk about because you want to save the situation.
Just want to survive.
We don't, he's just spoke and say, we don't have a case in Port Harcourt. I don't think there's any state in this country where we don't have a case waiting to happen.
I know, but the reports presently.
No, I know.
Let's work with data.
No, we're working with data, but I'm not stupid to imagine that people who have had contact, that we can just say, because we've not had it. After all, we're saying so in Nigeria, that we never had it. We've not had it. And suddenly, every day, it's increasing.
Yeah.
And with experience of what has happened to the other people, as you get closer to that period of isolation, that 14 days incubation period, the statistic increases. In fact, the way it increases within the midpoint is alarming. So I imagine that in the next 13 days or so in this country, we are probably, I hope, I pray, we don't get to that point. If we do get to that point, it will be too late to be talking about shutdown. So I think that shutdown is imminent and it is possible. If our only challenge is food,
yeah, pretty much.
It is easier to deal with. If you are hungry for 4 days and you're drinking water, you are not in the best shape of life, but you probably will not die. If you get to a place of getting this disease where you have only 2 ventilators in the whole country, when there is massive pressure on the health facility, the health system, as it is, and it is going to increase, doctors, I pray we don't lose medical personnel, but we see that
that's
they've started.
That's a given.
No, I'm praying. Personnel. I'm only saying that when it becomes serious and all this begin to happen, we will get to a point where hunger will no longer be an issue. So if it is hunger that is the issue, I think the lockdown, if you say no movement, no transportation and things like that, within the neighborhoods, people can pick whatever they can pick around them within the neighborhood. Luckily for us, the rains have started to drop. Even if it is vegetable that is sprouting out and you're doing, let's find a way to survive this. The shutdown is not going to be for eternity.
Okay.
So we can deal with it as soon as possible and regain our lives so we don't cause terrible damage to the economy of this nation beyond the time, because ultimately we'll be forced to shut down.
Then, Doc, that one that you have proposed is not an absolute shutdown, it's still partial. Because if it is absolute, it's like, if you're seen outside your house, you've committed a crime.
When it gets to a state of absolute and there's nothing we can do about it,
we'll do absolute.
We will do it. And when we do it, we will still go back to the hungers. I'm saying, let's buy time now.
Like I said, I read earlier where India has a complete shutdown. They sent their 1.6 billion people indoors and asked them to shut the door. This is India that probably has a far better healthcare system than we have.
Yes.
And they understand also that because of population, the figures, even if you're looking at just 1, 2, 3%, the figures for them will be very dire.
For that will be
1.6 billion, you take about 2% of that, you're looking at crazy figures there. So they said, well, the best thing to do, and it has always been pushed by WHO, is that you bend the curve.
Yes.
And in bending the curve, lock the people up. Let's see how we can tide through this.
I think government should find a way to give palliatives.
And that's what I was just going to.
Yeah.
I mean, this is now where you expect the presidential
high-powered.
Salaries should be paid by today.
High-powered presidential committee are sitting down and deliberating how they can send food to certain areas now for a possible lockdown in a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Look, we're shutting down in 1 week from now. So how can we get foodstuff to certain areas now and disperse to Nigerians who are in these areas, so that by the time we do shut down, we know we have delivered food to them and at least they can stay indoors comfortably and then someone says, how can you stay comfortably indoors when PhD and are not providing
That's what I wanted to say. And then you've sent people to their homes. Levels 1 to 12 of the civil service are now in their houses. How can they be in their houses comfortably when they are not paid their salary?
They'll pay them, don't worry.
On this is 25th. Pay them their salaries. Doc, you're not supporting me in this.
For us,
they're on strike.
No. Apart from in my office, we're shutting down today. The staff will be paid. As a matter of fact, I've got a lot. They've been paid, and everybody stays there. I will be the one running around if there's any emergency.
Which office is that? Did you say your office? ASU. Okay, ASU has shut down.
ASU, yeah.
Okay, but we're not shutting down. We're here.
No, you are rendering
We'll let you know when shutdown is over.
The
Thank you very much,
stations,
Doc, for
the
coming.
radio stations,
They're
the
all
TV
there, they're
stations, the
essential
banks,
services.
the hospitals, these key places, supermarkets.
Yeah.
But in each of these places, there must be measures to protect
And what happened is that
you know.
even within that system where you have essential services, they're also regulating. So it's
Exactly.
unless it's of absolute necessity that you have to be in these areas, you
Yeah.
don't have to come.
Yeah.
So you don't want to make sure if an establishment, perhaps let me use radio station, I'm used to that. If a radio station had 50 workers or staff, you want to regulate and make that you have just 25. And that 25, can you have just maybe about 12 in the building part-time so that you regulate as much as possible? Well, this is what it is.
So that Imam Duque can spend more time with his family too.
I'm sure he would like that. All right. So I'll open the phone lines in just a moment. It's 5 minutes after 11. You can be part of a conversation now. Do send us your thoughts. Send it to us by text message to 070-1933-9962. Text messages and WhatsApp 070-1933-9962. And then you can also call us on 070-1933-0810-9510-951 or 0817-0000-951. Those are the numbers for the studio. You can send us messages to on Facebook. We are at www.facebook.com/today95.1 FM. Search for us, like that page, and let's get to hear from you. And don't forget, they can watch us on YouTube. We're Today 95.1 FM on YouTube. Please don't forget to subscribe on that page. Tweet at us. Our Twitter handle is at TodayFM951. The first issue that we took here was coronavirus, whether this could be a springboard for a rebirth in Nigeria. We talked about how resilient we are. We talked about how amazing we are as a people. Yet, this is the kind of nation we have. Will coronavirus that has forced people to look inwards, has forced countries to drive themselves in, has caused them to shut their borders, will this cause for us here now in Nigeria to look inwards? Is this a springboard for rebirth for us in Nigeria? And then we also looked at Buhari, who expressed grief over the killing of 47 soldiers by Boko Haram. He did that through his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, who tweeted this. And of course, for us, the issue was on the show of leadership and whether the several times we have expected the president to confront an issue personally, and he has done that through his several aides, is enough. Yes, he has the right to do that. But then again, the question is, if he continues to do that, what message does it send? Why is it sending that kind of message? And then finally, the lockdown of oil mill market here in River State. We had that for real talk. As proactive as the governor has been in the past couple of days, there's also the issue of why shut an oil mill in just a couple of hours, knowing well that it is an international market where people come from outside the state a couple of days or a day before the market day itself. What happens to those people? And if it is possible to have a complete shutdown here in River State. These were the issues that we had here and would like to hear from you. Let me take a few text messages here. This says, it's unfortunate that Oga Kerry, after returning from Germany, couldn't even self-isolate himself and went ahead to attend several high-profile meetings. It is only God that knows how many persons he has infected upon his return. And this is a pure definition of carelessness. We got to continue to protect us. Kristen Williams from Igboiche sent that in. Greetings to you all. In view of Nigeria's situation and quagmire, knowledge has proven that development is internal and not imported. It is achieved via a series of collective efforts by the people and state institutions. Of course, our government over time had performed abysmally. However, let's for once measure the situation from a point. Take Uniport, a sector of the Nigerian economy and citadel of knowledge. And I appeal to Dr. Sado to please outline 5 researches and inventions done by Uniport to improve Nigeria's science and technology, the health sector and the economy since 1999 till date. He should educate or tell us one drug or vaccine that is a brainchild of the University of Port Harcourt in Nigeria after the outbreak of Ebola till date. Lastly, I beg to know what University of Port Harcourt has done or is doing differently to improve the decayed education sector and administration in Nigeria. Today, ASU is insisting on sustaining a dishonest practice in our universities, refusing to enroll into the IPPIS even when the Universities Autonomy Act 2007 didn't accept them in any way. For me, Nigeria's backwardness or undevelopment isn't caused by government alone. We're all culprits in one way or the other. Emi Fiahaga, you sent that in. Good morning, TQ. The COVID-19 crisis cannot be a springboard for rebirth because of the politics of prebendalism and primordial accumulation, which are the lot of political office holders and elites in this country. This system is selfish and does not work for good of the generality of the people. A situation where people sit and pass a law that provides for political office holders who have left office to attend medical checkup overseas does not show that they are thinking of developing the country. A majority of current political office holders in Nigeria do not have the aptitude for leadership. Political office holders and government officials must be made to use public utilities and facilities. This is where the rebirth will begin. I joined Garba Shehu, a member of the outsourced government, to sympathize with the families of the dead soldiers. Christian from Port Harcourt, he sent that in. Good morning, Annie, Ima, and others in the studio. I'm Nonya from Umoba and Omoma local government. Annie, the outbreak of COVID-19 virus in Nigeria has gone a long way to show that Nigeria is not yet together another country, because what is happening here cannot happen in a country. Annie, there is no medical facilities anywhere in this part of the country. We're all hoping on God to rescue us from this alarming situation. Our government has failed us woefully. Nonya, got your thoughts on that? This here says, this is oil mill market this morning. Oh, he said he passed through there. We forgot to even ask him what it was like. This is oil mill market this morning as at 9 a.m. Annie, please tell all these our leaders to stop hashtag, he put in quote, shaking their head. Well, the picture he sent me of oil mill this morning is a very busy market. Yeah. People, yeah, the picture he sent is of a very busy market.
Wow.
Wow. People touching themselves.
God.
Market going on as market should. That's why if it is the oil mill market of today, then it's not shut down as far as what I see here. So I can't authenticate that picture though.
Yes.
He says, I'm Opina, my sister. The problem I have with these supposedly good audio comments by Radio State government to curtail this virus is implementation. I just came from Rumuala now. Taxis are still padding people like sardines inside their vehicles. Some clubs at the GRA opened yesterday. The funny one is the oil mill market. I will just send you pictures and not to tell you anything. Yep, those are the pictures. Busy market, he sent. Obina, thank you. We got your thoughts on that. EOK says, good morning, Annie, Honorable Independent Distinguished Guests. He says that 47 trained soldiers with our taxpayers' money were killed by Boko Haram, yet no word was heard from President Buhari. Is sad and an abomination. Oh, we did hear a word from him. It came through Garba Shehu. However, the truth of who occupies Aso Rock is gradually touching the red line, like the COVID-19 that has exposed the level of preparedness to combat the spread. It is unfortunate the presidency is playing a smart one by coming out to tell the public that the president is on self-isolation. What a wonder. The earlier the president presents himself live and physically to the citizens, the better. Otherwise, the doubts who occupy or is occupying Aso Rock will continue to hold and multiply. Please, there should be no video clip of his public address, as the recent one has doubled the doubt of his person. The preparedness of COVID-19. At one point, I thought they said they had spent about a billion plus
already.
Yes, and then you're wondering the billion plus was in what really now?
A lot.
Maybe in the testing, maybe the equipment they need to test it.
Remember
because that's
again,
about the only thing I think is available.
when they said they had given health department and all that so much, and they've given the other places they mentioned.
Well, Annie, the president didn't do well in this issue. He should have shut down 3 weeks ago. Erasmus Nicholas, he sent that in while the phone lines are open. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good gift, right?
Yes, gift.
Okay, gift. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning to Dr. Sandra and everybody there.
Go ahead.
None of the different organs of government that is serious with this COVID-19. I'm telling you, the report, I don't know how authentic it is, but that's a picture and all the rest. Like Dr. Francis was talking about giving us time or whatever. Which time? You're talking about emergency. In fact, this state, Nigeria, the nation, ought to be shut down 3 weeks ago. Not even allow any flight to come in, whether you're from Rivers State, you're from Bayelsa, stay where you are. Don't step into this country. That would have been done long ago.
You can't deny your citizens entry. You can't deny your own citizens entry into the country. No, that's not possible.
We are talking about emergency situation.
That's what the emergency situation is, that you allow them in, but you take them to a designated place and quarantine them there.
Okay, we are allowed Abakari in. Look at what is happening.
Yeah. Asorok now has one.
Do you know why they chase out some of the media houses? Because I know Channel TV as one of the best, but 2 other days there was nothing like breaking news. It was Arise, AIT, other stations, and all those ones that brought out that information, they barred them of going into that Asorok.
Oh, Gift, don't come up with conspiracy theories now. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. No! Gift, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about this morning.
No, we are